What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here again for you for another Tottenham post-mortem as we've drawn 3-3 at St Mary's against bottom of the league Southampton, worst home form in the league Southampton, and a Southampton team that have only scored 11 goals at home all season. And we let them score 3 goals yesterday at St Mary's.
So a third of their total now.
Pretty much, yeah. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And obviously me and Sim were there yesterday. And it's just getting really hard to go to these away games and just witness the same thing over and over and over again. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through the game, and then we are going to look at Conte's fiery post-match press conference and see what we can take away from that as well. But without further ado, let's get into the match review from yesterday. And you know what? It started like a disastrous game. I mean, players going down, Richarlison going off after 4 minutes. He was in tears. Apparently, we didn't see it because we weren't there early enough, but apparently he pulled up in the warm-up as well. And the fitness staff did some stretches with him and got him running up and down the length of the pitch, and he wanted to play, so he started the game, and probably was the wrong decision because he pulled up after 4 minutes, and we don't know how long he's going to be out for. But Kulusevski came on, and I actually thought it was quite a good display from Kulusevski yesterday. A few minutes after that, Bella Kotchap goes down and Salisu comes on.
They were dropping like flies at one point.
Dropping like flies yesterday, and within, I think it was in like what, first 10 minutes of the game, 2 substitutes, one apiece already, and it just started. What was that start to the game? I'd never seen anything like it, really.
Well, I think it was 4 subs in total in the first half,
yeah.
2 each. Davis also went off for us, and Bednarek went off for Southampton. But I actually think, when you think about it, for us, Perisic comes on, Kulusevski comes on, so like I don't think it hurt us as much as it will hurt a team like Southampton.
Their 2 starting centre-backs go off in the first half.
And they're playing Maitland-Niles at centre-back for the whole game. So we really should have made more use of that situation. To be fair, Kane did dominate him for his goal, and Maitland-Niles did make a bit of a mistake for the third goal as well, with his header out to Perisic. So you could argue we did take advantage of it, but we didn't take full advantage of it, obviously, because we didn't take the 3 points. But that first half, it was a classic Tottenham first half. We were kind of... we had a few openings with Porro on the right-hand side. He had a few chances before he scored a goal late in the first half. But it was kind of one of those classic ones where we weren't really conceding anything. We weren't really creating anything. We threatened to open them up a couple of times without making any serious opportunities. As I said, Porro had a couple of efforts with his left foot over the bar where he could have done better. He was looking like our most likely avenue for a goal.
There was one with Dyer as well, with that great cross.
Dyer had a header from a short corner. That was a decent chance, but it wasn't like, we opened them up. It was just, swinging across and trying to head it in. So it was kind of a very dull first half. We did break the deadlock. Again, good team movement. Someone with a brilliant ball into Porro. He absolutely smashes it in off the crossbar into at the near post. It was a brilliant finish from Pedro Porro. So we put ourselves in a good position. I wouldn't say we deserved to be 1-0 up, although I did think we were slightly the better team. But I didn't think we
didn't let Southampton have a shot on our goal in that first half.
Yeah, if you just bring on the stats, I can just bring up the first half. It was first half, we had 9 shots, they had 8, but they had no shots on target. XG 1.37 to 0.7 in our favour. So we were probably slightly the better team.
I felt like when you're comparing the first half to the second half, I thought there was a period in the second half which was probably our best period of the game. But I think when you're taking a 45 minutes versus another 45 minutes, I thought we looked more comfortable and more assured in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, we held them at bay more in the first half. I think Southampton were getting more joy on the ball in the second half for sure, even though we scored 2 goals as well. Southampton they didn't really threaten us in that first half, but the second half, literally within a minute, it all changed.
Yeah,
they got in behind, and and they scored the. From their point of view, obviously, it was a quick team transition in behind to Walcott. He squares it to Adams. But from Spurs' point of view, that ball should never be getting in between Longley and Perisic.
I don't understand how it is getting in between those two. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And by the way, Walcott, he had our defence on toast at times yesterday. He really did. And it's not good enough to let a player like Walcott do that to you. It really isn't. But Lavia, brilliant ball. Long lane, Perisic could not do anything about it, and then Adams gets the run on our defence, and and he levels it up straight from the kickoff, pretty much. And then after that, I mean, Southampton did put us under a bit of pressure after that, but after that kind of tiny bit of pressure, I thought we had our best moment in the game, best period of the game, and we really started to dominate them a bit, started to create chances. Kulu put that brilliant cross in from that short corner from Sonny, and Kane buries it, like probably what Dyer should have done in the first half. And we're really starting to create chances. We go 2-1 up, and you're thinking, all right, cool, we're really in the ascendancy now, and we're going to take this game and win this game. And we did. 10 minutes later, another cross from Kulusevski. Romero heads it back to Ivan Perisic, and Perisic with the volley into the ground, and a really nice finish. And Perisic gets his first goal as well for Spurs. And then we go 3-1 up with 15 minutes to go or something like that.
And you really did think that was game, set, and match at that point, because Southampton, after equalising, Southampton offered very little. Spurs, to be fair, I thought we were controlling the game, dominating. I thought we were really good in the transitions. Kane had that chance as well, didn't he, on the breakaway, which he should have slipped in. Kulusevski, he went for goal. He went for goal, and I think that was at 1-1 actually. But he went for goal. If you look at the momentum bar, just bring on the phone for a sec. You can see in that second half, Southampton had that little bit of spell at the beginning, and it was literally all Tottenham up until we score our third. We score our third here, and then once we score our third, it was like we thought the game was won. We kind of sat deep, just trying to manage the game, thinking the game was we've sealed the 3 points. And to be honest, we'd say what you like about that approach, but the game should be won at 3-1. You know what I mean? You should never be allowing
that stage of the game.
You should never be allowing in the last 15 minutes for Southampton to be able to create chances like that against you. And even if you are sitting back, you should have the quality defensively to see out that game and to manage that game if you got anything about you. But we didn't.
But it's the same thing as always. It's the same thing as always. We look good in the first half against Wolves. Wolves make changes and completely dominate us after that. What happens here? We go 3-1 up. Southampton make a triple change. Mara for Adams.
They made the change at 2-1.
Huh?
They made the change at 2-1.
At 2-1?
Yeah.
No, they made it at 3-1.
They made it. I can see here. They made it in the 70th minute.
All right. Either way, we score, and then straight away after we score the dominance, Southampton come and show their dominance with the changes making a big difference. Alcaraz for Armstrong, Sulemana for Elanusi. I mean, Sulemana, there were times where he was just walking through our whole midfield and our whole back line. It was absolutely ridiculous. And Southampton get back in the game. We'd let them get back into the game, and it's not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. And for that goal, that 3-2 goal, what the hell is happening there? Seriously, what the hell is happening? Ward-Prowse crossing the ball. I thought Porosh could have got tighter to Ward-Prowse there. Mara wins the header over Skip and Perisic. How's he winning the header there? And Walcott is just completely free in the box.
If you look what happens when Mara wins the header, Kane and Dyer. Walcott. I think it was Dyer had Walcott, and what happened is when Mara wins that header, Dyer and Kane both, instead of sticking one of them going Walcott and one of them staying on the line, they both go to the line. And Walcott peels away from them, and it's just shocking defending. So they both go onto the line in the same post. So they're both on one post on the line. If you're going to do that, at least one of them go to each post so he gets clear off the line. They both go to one post. So you've got Forster, Dyer and Kane all on one side of the goal. Walcott's completely free, and he just buries it into the other corner where no one is, basically. Yeah. It was just an absolute shambles from everyone. We were very deep. We weren't contesting the duels. We weren't being aggressive, and then also the defensive quality also wasn't there. So it all just led to an absolute shit show of a goal, to be honest. But to be fair, look, and I've said this and I stand by it. And I think that even if you look at the momentum bar, I think it shows it as well. But I think at 3-2 they scored in the 77th minute. We then make and they at this point they are on top of us. You can see the momentum bar; they're very much top of us. But on 86 minutes, we make a couple changes, and I actually did think it stemmed the tide. I think it clogged up the areas we needed it to clog up. I think Southampton actually looked a lot less threatening after we made those changes at 3-2, and all of a sudden the chances dried up for them. They were actually finding all these openings in that little period before we made that change. Sulemana was getting in all sorts of spaces, but then Sarr and Emerson did come on, and we did tighten up. But the problem was we tightened up to see out the game, and then that dodgy penalty.
What I don't understand is all the fans laying into Antonio for those changes. Because you could definitely see the game was slipping away from us before those changes were made. And Southampton were all over us. They were creating chances.
Yeah, Mara had that chance.
Was really dangerous. Mara has that chance. And
Maitland-Niles forced to save out of Forster as well.
Exactly. You can really see Fraser Forster made some really good saves in that period of the game. And you can really see the game was slipping away from us. And Conte makes those changes, which I called for, by the way. Ryan was standing next to us, and I said to him, we got to take off Sarr for Kulu and Emerson for Porro. Because first of all, Porro, as much as how good he was in that first half, he was kind of weaning out of the game at that point. He was. The second half, he was weaning out the game. And I thought it was a good changes from Conte, albeit it did steady the ship, as you say, but it's not like it was Southampton's amazing play and our kind of tactical flaws that kind of let Southampton get that third goal. It was a terrible refereeing decision. That's what gave them that goal. I mean, Pape Matar Sarr tries to hit the ball away from Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles wins the ball first. But Sarr hardly even touches him, if touches him at all. It's not a penalty. I don't understand how they point to the spot and then VAR looks at it again and still gives the penalty. It makes no sense in my mind whatsoever.
They got very lucky, really lucky, because if you look at the replay, the angle of where Sarr supposedly makes contact with Maitland-Niles, there's a player covering that exact moment when the contact is made, so they can't truly say whether they made no contact because there's a player blocking the view on the angle, and on the side angle it's also very hard to tell if he actually makes contact. From my point of view, it doesn't look like he makes any contact. I don't really see anything, but because VAR can't 100% say for certain, they had to stick with the on-field decision, and I think they got away with one a bit because I think it was a soft penalty, soft as shit penalty in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't think he makes any contact, but I think. That period, yeah. So once we scored our third goal, there was a 10-minute period where Southampton were really on top of us, and you can maybe blame Tottenham for sitting too deep on that occasion, but people pointing to the substitutions as the problem, in my opinion, are completely misreading the game, because I think once we made those subs, we actually did tighten up quite a lot, and Southampton didn't look like they were going to score again up until they got a penalty, and then out of nothing, let's be honest, it was a penalty out of pretty much nothing, and it probably shouldn't have been a penalty, and so they did get a bit of luck, but you could as well. You can't take away that they did drag themselves back in the game, and we did also sit deep for that period before the substitutions, and that's ultimately what got them back in the game. That little period.
Look, it's
and
really frustrating.
We only have ourselves to blame.
Absolutely, we only have ourselves to blame. That game was there for us. It was in the palm of our hand. We had 3 points, and we just chucked it away like it was nothing, like always. But in terms of the Spurs changes that potentially influenced the game, we spoke about the ones later on in the game where me and you both, I think, in agreement saying it didn't really influence the game in a negative way. The changes at the beginning, I mean, the ones that we were forced into, first of all, Kulusevski for Richarlison. I thought Kulusevski came on and actually played really well.
Yeah.
He had the beating of his man quite a few times. I think all of our goals came from Kulusevski, had something to do with all of our goals. Mm-hmm. The one for Perisic for Davis was the one for me. I thought a lot of their opportunities come down Perisic's side. Their first goal, Perisic and Longley, one of them needs to be getting to that. Their second goal, I thought Perisic was beaten way too easily in the air at the back post. And the third goal was the penalty. But Perisic, I mean, it's this consistent thing with Perisic now. He's just not good enough defensively, albeit well done to him. Got his first goal, really nice finish, and credit to him for that. But his defensive work on the day is just not good enough, is it?
No. I to be honest, at 3-1, I thought he was having a good game. In all honesty, I thought he was quite a good attacking threat down the left-hand side. I thought he got a really nice finish for the goal. I thought he was providing some good deliveries from that side as well. And I thought, okay, he's actually come on and had a pretty positive impact. But I think the second goal, Mara obviously beats him to it. He's quite a tall striker, Mara. He outmuscles him. Yeah, you could probably say he's a bit weak in that instance, but defensively, we should have dealt with that situation so many other times. I wouldn't just put it down to Perisic, although he definitely takes his share of the blame. The first goal, I think he should never let Walcott get the run on him like that. 100%. Walcott found it way too easy to get in behind. Third goal, I don't think he's involved too much in it, but down that left-hand side, I do think in general play, I think actually they got more opportunities on down the other side than they did down his side, in all honesty. I think that was the area that they, like, for example, Mara's chance, that was more down Porro's side than it was down Perisic. But for the goals, for sure, he could have done better with. I just thought it was unfortunate that he was actually having a good game, and then all that good work gets undone. But everyone's focusing on Perisic. I think we're focusing on him because he's in bad form, and one of the goals came down his side. But I don't think he was actually that bad yesterday, in my opinion. Like, I do think he's been in bad form. Granted, and I do think for one of the goals he could have definitely done a lot better. But I wouldn't overly blame him for what happened yesterday, in my opinion.
Look, I think he had his hand in two of the goals that we conceded. So I think that he deserves the criticism that's coming his way, in my opinion. I think, look, he was okay. I don't think he was anything great at 3-1. I know maybe you said he was having a good
don't think it was like the
performance.
mistakes, like, for example, like he did against City, where he literally just gave it to players down the line, you know what I mean? And it was like clearly his fault. I think he was part of a collective to blame. Against City, he was literally making individual errors, which cost us goals. I thought yesterday he was part of a collective defence, and he definitely didn't cover himself in any glory. But I wouldn't like zoom in on him and just say he's the one at fault for these goals. You know what I mean? I think it's a bit harsh.
I'd agree with that to a certain extent, but I think that when you're part of it, this part of the central thing that kind of we're conceding 2 goals, and you literally should have been doing better in 2 of those big actions that are going to the goal. Yes, other defenders are definitely in there with him, no doubt about it. But at the moment, we are talking about Perisic, so I think that you've got to give him his criticism where it's due, and
we give him enough. Trust me, that's what I'm saying.
He's due it more today. He's due it more today for yesterday. So I don't think his attacking threat was that good anyway at 3-1. I thought he was getting in all right spaces. I thought his crossing was poor again. I don't know. I'm just done. I'm fed up of Perisic, to be honest. I really am.
No, and he's not in good form. He's not playing well. And he has to accept that. And I also think that
big problem when Ben Davies comes in, and a player that fans would have taken or leaving him going for the past however many years it's been, and he's come in and being our kind of saviour at left wing back when we've got Perisic here. It's just a joke, man.
But I think we misdiagnosed the problem. Perisic has never been a good defensive wing back. That's never been his forte. Obviously, you can't accept things like the Man City game when he's literally like being a proper liability. But when you have someone like Perisic, the point of him is that you balance out his defensive capabilities with his attacking capabilities. And when he was at Inter Milan, you could do that because when he gets forward, he's obviously gets you good numbers going forward. And then he's going to leave you a bit exposed defensively. But if you have the defense to cope with that, then it's worth it. But we don't have the defence to cope with it. That's our problem. So as much as we want to zoom in on Perisic, the bigger problem, in my opinion, is that we don't have the defence to cope with his defensive capabilities. Not that he has no defensive capabilities. You understand?
I get that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. But I've also got grievances with him going forward recently since the World Cup. I mean, I don't think he's doing anywhere near enough from an attacking perspective where you're saying we're in agreement that where his fortes lie. I think his crossing has gone way off the boil. I think he's too weak in terms of taking on his man and stuff like that. So he's not been good enough in every aspect of the game, not just this defensive role.
I agree with that. He's been in bad form. I completely agree with it. Really bad form. I personally think yesterday he came on and did quite a good job.
He did all right.
I think he scored a goal, and I thought he was actually quite decent. But that was my opinion. But obviously, when we don't win the game and he doesn't cover himself in any glory for two of the goals, we're going to obviously talk about it again. But yeah, look, I think we can move on from Perisic now.
Yeah, look, we've spoken about the bad. Let's speak about the good in Pedro Porro, because I thought he was absolutely brilliant, especially in that first half yesterday. All our good work was coming through him. Like you said before, he had 2 chances with his left peg, blazed it over the bar, didn't make any mistake with that third one where Sonny played a lovely ball through to him, didn't he? And Pedro Porro just slammed that in the roof of the net. And again, like I said last week, Pedro Porro seems to be growing with confidence, growing with ability every single game in the Premier League now.
Yeah, and obviously he's getting more confident to have more shots. He's getting in more of those positions as well. I mean, the 3 opportunities he had in that first half, it's like I had never seen Emerson in those positions ever. It's just he doesn't get there. Porro is
Show
like...
his heat map.
Show his heat map. There you go.
Well, there you go.
So look how offensive he is. Look. So the biggest spot is like really far forward. You can see that.
Whereas Emerson's biggest spot will be like by the centre circle, basically.
Exactly, and it'll be more tucked inside. But that's what Porro does. He allows us to get really far wide. He attacks that space at the back post, and especially when the ball's on the far side, he doesn't allow What he does is he causes the back line big problems, because if he gets into that area consistently, because he has pace as well, he gets into that area, he's so hard to track because they're looking at Richarlison, they're looking at Kane, they're looking at Son, even maybe one of the midfielders are getting forward. And then all of a sudden, like if you're a fullback, what do? Do you stick out wide with Porro? Or do you track Richarlison's run in the middle? You have to track Richarlison. And 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, unless he's getting tracked. Although, imagine a winger tracking him every time into the penalty area. It's not going to happen. The winger isn't going to track him every single time into a penalty area. So more often than not, he is going to be free, unless you have a super hard-working winger who's going to be penned back. So he found those opportunities time and time again. Unfortunately for him, the first 2 he blazed over the bar. But in fact, it wasn't also just those opportunities. He was playing some really nice passes into Son in behind, wasn't he, early on? And Son had a couple of openings where if his touch was better, he could have had a few other chances. But in terms of him attacking-wise, the first 2 chances he blazed over the bar was left foot, and then he didn't need a third time of asking. What a finish that was. Imagine Emerson pulling off that kind of finish, or Doherty pulling up. It just wouldn't happen. Wouldn't get close to it. And it showed the confidence, showed his quality as well, with that ability to absolutely smash it off the crossbar. And I thought first half especially, he was our best player for sure. He was swinging really dangerous crosses as well from the right hand side. I think it's much better when we have a wing back who rather than people praising us for having Emerson who tucks his side, I'd much rather have someone like Porro who hugs the touchline and stretches the play as much as possible. Absolutely. And Porro's really growing with every game, and he's really putting those early performances behind him now. And I'm so happy for him, because he had a struggling start, but he's really showing exactly what we want for a wing back, isn't he?
Absolutely, absolutely spot on, and I'm loving him at this very moment in time. And I always said after that Leicester game, I felt it was just like a welcome to the Premier League kind of thing, and he's going to grow on it and learn from it, and that's exactly what he's doing. Cuti Romero yesterday, what did you make out of him? I thought it wasn't such a great display from Romero yesterday. Wasn't at his aggressive best. I thought maybe one of the goals he could have got tighter to his man. I think it was the first goal for Southampton. I mean, what did you make out of Romero yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't think he was particularly impressive. I thought he did look a bit sluggish throughout. I think, look, when we were on top, to be honest, like for large periods, as much as there were periods when Southampton were on top of us, like after we scored, but I thought, like at the point when it was 3-1, to Spurs, like throughout most of the game, the defence actually didn't have that much to do. I know we conceded, but I'm watching Match of the Day, and I thought Forster had a brilliant game, right? And that was my memory. But then I watched Match of the Day, and when at 3-1. Mara has that chance, and Forster saves it. And the Match of the Day commentator says, "Well, Forster hasn't had too much to do today, but he's come out and made that save." And I realised Forster did have a great game, because I thought Fallis just scored there. Forster did have a good game because of those last 50 minutes he was really busy, but actually at 3-1 he wasn't very busy there. He hadn't done too much. That's because the game was pretty comfortable for Tottenham at 3-1. So if I'm judging his performance, I think for the first 75 minutes he was fine. I didn't think there were too many issues, but in those last 15 minutes, once we were under pressure, he did crumble. He did crumble, and I thought that chance for Mara that I was talking about, he was really poor for that chance. He could have done a lot better, could have got a lot tighter to Mara. And I think, look, again, I think it was more of a collective thing than a personal thing for him, but I didn't think he was very good in those last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought Dyer was atrocious.
Yeah, Dyer was atrocious. I mean, at one point, what was he doing? Marking Kane on the line or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, for the goal. That's exactly what he was doing.
What is that? How this guy is our starting central centre-back and he's marking our striker on the post. What is that all about?
This is it. This is the problem with our defence. When you put it under pressure, it's when things are going well, they seem to be okay, and they can get yourself in a situation where you're 3-1 up against Southampton away. Because we know we have good quality, but when push comes to shove, when the other team ups their intensity and really puts us under pressure, especially away from home, we fold. We don't have that mentality. We don't have the defenders when push comes to shove who are going to grind out the result and we're going to really batten down the hatches.
Absolutely.
You know, and you see, for example, I remember. Obviously, you can pick a number of games, but you remember when we played Juventus in the Champions League back in 2018, where it's the game is 2-1 to Juventus, that we need a goal. We literally chucked the kitchen sink at them. We put them under so much pressure. I remember that game. We hit the post, it rolls across the line, all the stuff, but by hook or by crook, they batten down hatches and they're saying no more goals are getting conceded in this game. Yeah. And they have the quality to do that. But when you ask that of our defenders, they just can't. Yeah. They've proven it time and time again. They can't hold it.
You are comparing Jan and Toby to Dyer and Longley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm comparing. That's the levels we should be comparing them to.
I agree.
That's where we should be going up to. And Dyer, Longley. I mean, look, we have to put Romero in there because Romero has been part of this defense. I personally think more often than not he's let down by a lot of people around him. But look, Romero as well. He's in that conversation. They just haven't been good enough this season, and every single time where people, the opposition, get aggressive with them and they up their intensity, they fold, and it happens time after time. They either fold, or they lose their concentration, and it happens so often, and it's happened under every manager. Ever since Pete Pochettino, it's happened every single time. This team have a massive mentality problem, and obviously we'll get into Conte's comments later on, but it feeds into what he's been saying a lot about the culture of a lot of these players. They don't have it in them to compete at this very high, at this level, to where we want to go. And as long as we persist with these people have this mentality, we're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, I can't agree more, to be honest. And it's a miracle what Conte has been doing since he's got here, getting this team in the top 4 in Champions League spots with the likes of Dyer and co at the back. It really is. And if anyone thinks that we can go out, for everyone complaining about the style of football and all this kind of stuff, it's so boring to go watch Tottenham, the style of football is terrible. Do you really think that if we play a more expansive game, we're not going to be cut open time and time again, and we're not going to be losing games by big amounts? Because we will be. We will be. If we have this defence and this team right now, if we play more expansive football, high pressing game and all that kind of stuff that fans want to see, we will be getting battered week in, week out. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think that Conte is working with what he has a lot of the time. Obviously, you have to always have a threat, and I think we do by and large. We in the transition, and we do pick our moment. First half, Porro was getting really far forward, and we were flying forward a lot of the time. But we got to pick our moments because we can't do it for 90 minutes. The squad don't have the physicality to do it. They don't have the quality or the mentality to make sure that they're not conceding easy chances. So unfortunately, a lot of the time we are going to have to be very compact. We are going to have to be making sure we're leaving little spaces in between the lines, and everyone's very close close together and everyone's helping each other. Because if we don't do that, these players just don't have the ability to be in one-on-one situations and come out on top. They don't have the ability to make sure that they're not having players run off them and keeping their concentration. That's why we need to be so compact and so organised and everyone fighting for each other. Because when we don't do that, then we have problems. So look, it's all well and good. For example, you look at Liverpool, maybe not now, but Liverpool in their prime, like. They don't need to do that because they know if Trent is caught upfield, Van Dijk can deal with it. You know what I mean? If Robinson's caught upfield, you know, they got centre backs who can deal with that situation. Like if there's a player, look at Arsenal, they know they can chuck all their players forward because if Saliba's isolated one-on-one or if they get in behind, they have the defenders with pace who can deal with those situations. And all right, they might get caught out once or twice, but 9 times out of 10 they'll be able to deal with it. Yeah. We just don't. We don't. If in those situations, if Dyer is caught one-on-one. Why do you think you never see Dyer in one-on-one situations? Because we can't have it. We can't allow him to be in one-on-one situations because if he ever is, then
we see it. We see it. And on the odd occasion when he is, he always gets
every
burned.
time. He never makes the tackle. I've never seen him make a tackle in a one-on-one situation.
Back off, Dyer. Back off, back off, back off, back off.
Why do you think that is? Beat. And people can blame Conte all he wants about style of play, but this is the reality of what he has to deal with for the defence. Yeah. And you could argue it hasn't worked because we keep leaking goals anyway. And that's a fair criticism. That is, and you can chuck that at him. But at the end of the day, we have the defence that we have, and I don't see how we can, especially against really good opposition anyway, but even against lesser opposition, go gung ho, completely throw caution to the wind and expect that this defence is going to hold out because it won't.
Exactly. And that is the state of affairs at Tottenham at the moment. Just before we move on to the Conte stuff, let's talk about Harry Kane yesterday. I thought he was one of our better players yesterday, but he frustrated me massively yesterday. There were so many times. One of them really sticks to mind, but there were more than that. There was 2 or 3 times this happened where he was in such a good position. He had runners either side of him, and he takes the shot, whether it gets blocked or goes over the bar or goes wide or whatever. But that really frustrated me yesterday. And there was one really notable one. He had Kulusevski making a really nice run on the outside. He had Sonny on the left of him. And he takes a shot and it goes wide. I mean, this happened time and time again. And do you think that plays into what Conte was saying about selfish players? I know you don't want to put Kane in that category because Kane has been saving us time and time again throughout this whole season and throughout since he's come here. But, I mean, those were factors of being selfish.
I don't think that's what he was talking about when he was saying selfish. He might have been. I actually think he probably wants Kane to be a bit selfish, to be honest. I don't think that's what he's talking about. I think he's talking about everyone fighting for each other and in the defensive side of the game. When you're 3-1 up, you have to make sacrifices for the team. And I think he was talking about people being selfish, maybe not putting their role in, making sure that we see out the game and see out the result. And just and I think in that sense, because on those missed chances you talk about, the game was 1-1 at those points. He ended up scoring to make it 2-1, then we made it 3-1. So I don't think those selfish moments impacted the result too much. I don't think that's what he was alluding to. Granted, I do think he was selfish in those instances. There was one in the first half where he cut inside and shot when definitely a pass was a better option. Second half, I have a bit more sympathy in that sense, only because they kept backing off him. And if you're going to keep backing off Harry Kane, yes, maybe Kulusevski was in a bit better position, but if you're going to keep backing off Harry Kane and you let him shoot, more often than not, that shot is going to hit the target. He missed the target. If you're going to shoot in that position when you've got Kulusevski to the right of you, you better make sure you hit the target. But as well, from a Kane point of view, you're bearing down on goal. You're just outside the penalty area. You've scored from this position so many times. Like, you're going to back yourself if the defender keeps backing off. So I do kind of understand why he took the shot. It probably was a bit frustrating, but I don't think Conte was pointing at Kane, looking at those situations of Kane being selfish, and that's what he was calling out being. I mean, he might have been, but I think he was more talking about the players fighting as a team, the spirit of the team. I don't think he was talking about Kane in those situations not passing, although I do think he should have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in terms of what he's talking about, selfish players, but I thought maybe there could be a small inkling of that creeping in there as well. But look, at the end of the day, very poor day all round for Tottenham Hotspur. We've let another lead slip, and we've dropped more points where the points look like they were just in the palm of our hands right here. And it's just another frustrating day all round. And now that's in the last 5 away games, we've lost 4, drawn 1, and the draw comes against a very poor Southampton side, bottom of the league. And
Yes.
and if we're going to
Albeit, to be fair, they have picked up points against Chelsea and United very recently.
Yeah, they have.
But
Yeah.
no, but don't,
when
no
you're
doubt
3-1
about
up
it.
with 15 minutes to go.
No, of course. I'm not saying we shouldn't have won. Of course we should have won. I'm just saying it like they have upped their game a bit more. Like they are bottom of the league because they've been bad all season, but recently they have upped their game a bit.
As Conte says, excuses, excuses, excuses.
It's not an excuse. I'm just saying it's not an excuse for why we
You're
drop
trying to
points.
find alibis.
Obviously, I'm absolutely fuming that they've let this game slip. I'm just saying this isn't the Southampton at the beginning of the season when they're losing every game. That's all I'm saying. But yeah,
Alibis. Anyway, that is our match review from the game yesterday. 3-3 against Southampton at St Mary's. Next up, we're going to look into Conte's press conference and react to that as well. But before we go into Conte's press conference, let's just get into the super chat. Carl with the super chat, big up Carl, says, guys, is this a call-in show? Also, I thought the pen was extremely soft. Yeah, the pen was extremely soft. I mean, I don't think it was a penalty at all. And is this a calling show? I believe it is.
Yes,
it is a calling show. Yes. SLG says, out of curiosity, are you guys still Conte in? I, for one, I am. I mean, I've said it before. I've said it many a time that my priority is for Conte to stay at this club for many years. And I think if he does stay for many years, then we're on to something really good. But if he wants to go, then I still think it's best for him just to go right now, to be honest. Are you still in the same camp as that?
Yeah, essentially. For me, I mean, people can say, how dare Conte say what he said yesterday and blah, blah, and we'll get into that. But like the one thing for me that definitely stayed with me after watching it is one thing reading the quotes and actually watching his face. You have to really watch the press conference to understand what he's saying.
In the car
it's different.
My mouths were like dropped.
I think a lot of people just read the quotes and then make their own judgments. You really have to feel what he's saying when you watch him say it.
His expression
and
said it
one thing that left me is this guy cares. He cares about what's happening at this club. You can argue and say he's just saving his own skin, but I think he really cares about the job he's doing, and he cares about the club, and that's what I picked up like when I'm watching him say what he's saying. And for me, I'd love Conte to really just have that ability to stay here for many years, but I just think at this point it looks like it's going to be a messy divorce at this point.
Yeah, it looks like that at the moment. Next up, Ardavan says, if we go more attacking, we'll defend each situation twice as bad, but we'll do 3 or 4 less defending and will improve us net like Klopp's earlier days.
If we go more attacking, we'll defend each situation twice as bad, but we'll do 3. Yeah. No, I hear that, and that's fine. I think that he's saying that because we'll do less defending, we'll be in those situations less. The problem for me is that while true, we don't have the technical players in the team to dominate the ball as much as maybe Liverpool could in those situations, or we can. I think we can maybe do less defending, but I still think that would be caught out way too much, and I don't know if I look and from that point of view, I don't know how much results would improve. Like right now, we're still in the top 4. Like I think if we go more offensive, we might score more goals, and maybe we'll have some less defending or whatever in some games. But are we really going to be in a situation where results have dramatically improved because we do these things? I don't know. You might get a few better performances, okay, like here and there. I just don't think the overall picture, I don't think you're going to see this team drastically improve results just by going more offensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Absolutely, totally. But look, next up, we're going to go through Antonio Conte's press conference. We're going to play the whole thing in its entirety, 9 minutes of Antonio going absolutely batshit.
It's a sight
crazy.
to behold, so you might as well play it all.
Arsenal have just scored as well, so 1-0 to them. I thought Palace were started the game well, but Arsenal are in the lead. Just before we do have another super chat from Anvil saying Conte knows we can win matches, but not trophies. That's probably spot on there. Remember, for 14 months there, Anvil, so big up to yourself. I'm not sure who scored it for Arsenal. Don't really care, to be honest. But no, look, we're going to play this Conte press conference in its entirety and then react to it afterwards. And then it's going to be your chance to have your say to come on and give us your thoughts as well. But let's put it on.
Antonio, obviously a tough penalty decision to take at the end, but should your team at 3-1 up with 15 minutes to go be drawing a game like that?
Yeah, if we are going to discuss about the penalty, it means that we don't want to see other situation, okay? And yeah, and for the penalty, I repeat, for me was not penalty. And stop, we close the situation. The worst situation is what happened. What happening into the pitch? What happening in the last few months, and what happening, yeah, in this my second season, and I think that it's the right moment and to speak, because I think after this performance that for me this is unacceptable. You are winning 3-1, and you are in control of the game, and you are able to concede 2 goals, okay, and to risk because also Fraser made a fantastic save in one situation. Yeah, I think that it's much better now to go into the problem, okay, because the problem is that for another time we show that we are not a team. We are 11 players that go into the pitch, and I see selfish players. I see players that don't want to help each other, don't put the heart. And first of today, I prefer to hide the situation and to try with to speak, to try to improve the spirit situation with the words, with a lot of situation, because about tactical or technical aspect, this one situation. The most important thing, if you want to become a strong team, if you want to become competitive, you want to fight to win, is the desire, the fire that you need to have in your eyes, in your heart, and you have to show this in every moment, Instead, if I have to compare last season, this season, I think that instead to improve, now we are worst under this aspect. And when you are not a team, and then everything can happen in every moment. Today is the last situation, and don't remember that in FA Cup we lost against Sheffield United that played with the young players. We were able with a strong team to be dropped in FA Cup, and then a lot of situation, I repeat, that we are not going to improve. And I'm not speaking about tactical aspect or technical aspect. About to beat team. This is the most important thing. To understand that we play for the badge. We have to play to make our fans proud of us. You have to play to show desire. The fire in your eyes to win. If you have this, for sure, you don't go out in FA Cup. Today you win. Maybe previously in the other games, maybe something can change. But here we are used for a long time, and then yeah. It's the club has the responsibility for the transfer market. Every coach that stay here has the responsibility. And the players? The players? Where are the players? About my experience, I can tell you that if you want to be competitive, if you want to fight, you have to improve under this aspect. And now this aspect, for me, in this moment, is really, really low. And I see only 11 players that play for themselves. Yeah.
Antonio, this is a difficult question to ask. Do you think your position, the uncertainty of your future...
But you are finding an alibi, another alibi. You try to find alibi or an excuse for the players. Okay, continue to do this, to find excuse for the players. You do only this. Excuse for the players. Yeah, but the players maybe my future, and then okay, they lost confidence, they lost spirit, they lost to be a team. Excuse. Try to protect every time, and this situation. Come on. We are professional. We paid. The club paid us a lot of money. The players receive money. Me receive money. You understand? Not to find excuse and don't have spirit or don't show the sense of belongings or don't show sense of responsibility, because we are showing this, and for me this is unacceptable for me, because this is the first time in my career to see a situation like this. And until now, I wasn't able to change. Not to change, but compare last season, the situation went to become worst.
Why, Antonio? Why do you think it is like this?
Why? I don't know, because they are used here. They're used here. Don't play for something important. Yeah. And they don't play, they don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. Yeah, it's easy in this way. And Tottenham story is this. 20 years that there is the owner and never won something. But why? Only for the fault is only for the club or for every manager that stay here? And I have seen the manager that Tottenham had on the bench. You risk to disrupt the figure of the manager and to protect the other situation in every moment. And now, until now, I try to hide the situation, but now no, because I repeat, I don't want to see what I have seen today, because this is unacceptable. Also for the respect for the fans. They follow us, pay the tickets, and to see the team another time, to have this type of performance, for me, I repeat, this is unacceptable. And we have to think a lot. We have to think a lot about this.
Last one, please, guys. Thank you.
Antonio, last week you said that you saw the fire in the eyes of your players again. What has changed between now and this game, and how much is it your responsibility to motivate them?
I said that I want to see the fire, not that I have seen. It's different. I say that I want to see the fire into the eyes. I want to see the fire into the heart. I want to see the right spirit, okay? And not only in the training session, into the pitch. Because here you have to make the difference. And I'm not seeing this, and until now, I try to hide the situation. But now, there are 10 games to go, and something thinks that we can fight. We can fight for what? With this spirit, with this attitude, with this commitment. For what? For the 7th, 8th place, 9th place? I'm not used to this position. I'm really upset. And everybody has to take the responsibility, not only the club, not only the manager, the staff. The players to be involved in this situation. Because it's time to change the situation if Tottenham wants to change. If they want to continue in this way, They can change manager, a lot of manager, but the situation cannot change. Believe me. Thank you very much.
Wow. I mean, I've watched this about 5 or 6 times, and it just gets like I still get shocked by it every time, even though I think that look, whatever you think about Conte and his tactics and the way he plays his football, whatever you think about it, this press conference was 100% to the word spot on, every single letter. I thought it was an unbelievable press conference. I'm behind every single thing that he said. They have, I think, a few journalists like Ali Gold and whoever have come out and said that Conte and the board have spoken about this press conference, and they've accepted that he wasn't talking about the board and was only talking about the players in that situation. I'm not sure how they came to that conclusion with that last line, that when he was saying that, in 20 years, the club need to make changes, otherwise they're not going to win anything. I don't understand how he's not talking about the board in that situation. But look, I think Conte is absolutely spot on, and I don't understand anyone that thinks otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously he was very angry. He was clearly really passionate about what happened on the pitch yesterday. But when he's talking about the mentality of the team, the culture of the club, this is something we've been speaking about for many, many years. This is nothing new. When we lost like 3-0 away in Zagreb, you think that was Mourinho's fault? You know what I mean? It's the players who have the wrong mentality, turning up thinking they're better than they are, and not having that aggression, that fight in every single game to make sure they come away with the result. That we come away from games far too often and having not given our all, having not made sure that if we're grinding out a result, we're making sure that we're defending the right things. Everyone's working for each other. For too often, these players have been getting away with far too many lackluster displays and not leaving everything on the pitch. And that's what he's calling out. This club don't know what it's like to win things, and he is saying, plain and simple, that it's because of your mentality of when you go out on that pitch, everyone needs to fight for each other. You need to be a team, and when the going gets tough and you have to really have your backs against the wall and you have to fight for each other, you have to come out fighting, and you have to, as you say, see the white in your eyes, see that aggression, see that fire. We don't have it. It's too easy. We're way too easy to play against. It's way too like, oh, whatever. All right, we'll draw 3-3. We'll give away.
As soon as this team gets under pressure, we flop.
We'll
we falter every single time. And that's what Conte's alluding to, and it's absolutely spot on. These players, how many times have we said it? They've let every single manager down. They let Poch down. They let Mourinho down. Now they're letting Conte down. It's just rinse and repeat every time. And until we get a better set of players to fulfill the manager's wishes, like he said, this is just going to keep going on and on and on and on. There are a section of the Spurs fan base that are saying that this is disgraceful from Conte. How can he come out and say this? You never speak out against your club. I mean, I saw Jamie O'Hara saying the same things, like you can't speak about this like your own club. I mean, then when is things ever going to change? Like, I have no problems with Conte coming out and saying this. Everything was completely pure facts. And until things do change fundamentally at this club, this thing is going to keep carrying on. So I commend and applaud Conte for coming out and saying these things yesterday.
It's been so long. Like, how many years are Spurs fans going to go through it? We're saying the same things as Conte's been saying for many years. So when Conte says, what am I supposed to do? Start being up in arms, and him actually just saying it as it is. It's been the problems at Tottenham for many, many, many years. But since, I wouldn't say maybe under Pochettino was necessarily the problem, the mentality of the team, but pretty much even under Pochettino, when things started to go wrong, for sure that was the problem. And under Jose, it's 100% been the problem. Even before Pochettino, a lot of the time, but whatever, don't want to get into that. But definitely the last few years under Jose and Conte, we haven't had the quality or the mentality to see games through and actually stick to game plans and actually work for each other. And that's why we're in the position that we are now. And I think Conte, for me, as much as in an ideal world, stuff like this is kept behind closed doors, in general, like I think we've seen a manager who's just at his wit's end of this team and of Tottenham, to be honest, right now. And I think we're in a situation where we're a club who hasn't won anything for 15 years, and these problems that he's articulating have been massive issues for this team for many years, and he can't just come in and solve it in 18 months and all of a sudden make us winners and change the mentality and the culture of the club in 18 months. It's going to take a lot of time, and it's almost as if because he's such a winner and because of his CV, we expect him to just come in and start winning immediately because that's who he is. But in fact, this whole club has very deep-seated issues, which he's alluding to, and it ain't going to change unless there's a concerted effort from everyone to make big changes. And I think right now Spurs just aren't in a position where we're going to start winning things. That's just reality now. Unless we do things in a different way, we're never going to compete, and it's almost like we're happy not to compete as well, and that culture stems from the top. When you have that culture of we're happy just to like battle for top four, we're not really care about the cups, and if we go out, no one really cares. As long as we're in a top four race, then everyone's happy and everyone's fine about everything, and we're not really bothered about anything else apart from getting the top four race. That seeps into the players, and then they know as well that they could turn up to Sheffield and not turn up, but no one's really going to care as long as they're in the top four race and get top four. No one's really going to care. And this whole culture of kind of just kind of half competing for top four and just trying to get Champions League football, that's why we're in a position where players feel comfortable putting in performances like they did in the last 20 minutes yesterday and putting performances like they did against Sheffield, because that's the culture of the club right now. We're not built to win. We don't care if we win. The players don't. The players after Sheffield, I reckon some of the players, probably very quickly forgot about it and didn't really care. They just go home and they can put it behind, as long as as long as we make up for it next week or after international break with a home win. Everyone's going to forget about yesterday's draw, and that's not the mentality we should have.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that the responsibility of the players, of the what am I trying to say? The responsibility of how the players act on the pitch is down to the manager. That's what a lot of people are saying, and I'd agree with them. But when you're seeing it happen time and time again under all these different managers, under Pochettino, Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, then at what point do we start pointing the finger at the players and not the manager? Because at the moment, all I see is Conte out. All I saw was Jose out. All I saw was Poch out. And now
we knew the players were throwing Pochettino under the bus at the end of the stage as well.
And we keep burning down managers time and time again because of these players throwing these managers under the bus, and then we automatically, collectively as a fan base, go get these managers out. Yesterday at the end of the game, countless amounts of people come up to me after the game, go, all right, surely Conte's going to go, get him out. He's not the right man for this club, blah, blah, blah. Not a good manager, dinosaur, fossil football, all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm saying to them, look, at the back end of Poch, we didn't win an away game for what? Was it like a year or something that we didn't win an away game? Was that down to Pochettino? No. Jose Mourinho, like you said about Zagreb and all those other terrible games that we had under Jose, was that down to Jose? No. This Conte, what's happening with Conte now? Is it down to Conte? No. It's down to these same individual players that let us down time and time again. And what Conte was speaking about in that press conference was absolutely true to the core. And it's been true for a number of years now at Tottenham Hotspur. And something fundamental needs to change at this club. Otherwise, like he says, the same things are going to be happening over and over again under multiple different managers. And we're just going to be going through the same cycle as we've been in since sacking Pochettino.
Yep, We have from the board point of view, we have too many stopgaps. We have too many players in there that the current manager isn't going to use or doesn't want. It doesn't lead to a clear, a shared philosophy from the top down, as to everyone being on the same page. The players, a lot of the time, they can implement tactical. They can implement tactical systems, but they're not good enough a lot of the times to see them out and actually perform them on the pitch, and that leads to the managers getting frustrated when the tactical plan's working, and then it gets undermined by poor mistakes or poor mentality from a lot of the players, and so that leads to a situation where we are now, where we're getting very inconsistent performances. Conte can't get consistency out of this backline because they're not good enough to be consistent, and I think this is a problem that stems from the top. The players have to take a lot of responsibility, and obviously Conte has his fair share of responsibility as well, and I think he said himself in the press conference, and obviously I have to take responsibility for how it is on the pitch. But when it comes to, Conte has to take responsibility for the attitude, of course, if the players are down tools, then that's on that. A lot of the time, manager has to take a lot of responsibility for that, because it's on him to motivate them. But it's not a motivation thing; it's a quality thing. It's a mentality thing, and that can't just come from the manager. The play that has to come from the players. When the great teams the real great teams, they have leaders on the pitch who make sure that the job is being implemented, and make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone's fighting for each other. They can't just all come from the manager constantly. The players have to take some responsibility on the pitch, and that's what great players and great teams have, and they do. And Tottenham just don't have that right now. They just don't have it on the pitch.
Look at the leaders he's had in those great teams, John Terry, John Terry wasn't there, but he
was there in his first season. Yeah, he was.
So John Terry, he had big leaders at Chelsea, at Inter Milan, Skriniar, Barella, great leaders at Inter Milan. At Juventus, who did he have? Like Chiellini and these
Bonucci.
kind of players, big leaders. And who do we have marshalling that backline? Eric Dyer.
Not a leader. I mean, he is a leader in his own way, but he's just not someone who can lead you to a title challenge. You know what I mean? That's just never going to happen. Harry Kane, as much as I think he has good leadership skills, you can't have Harry Kane as a leader at the back. He's a striker. He's going to be up front. He can't be telling the defenders what to do. He's got to deal with his own thing. We don't have that quality on the pitch, that mentality to see the job through, all the quality, and that stems from the top. It comes down to a lot of the players taking responsibility for not being good enough as well, and that leaves the situation where we are right now.
That's the key word, is responsibility. None of our players, apart from Harry Kane, take responsibility on that football pitch. You see Harry Kane time and time again trying to do stuff. You saw how angry he was yesterday when we conceded that third goal. I didn't see the anger on anyone else. It was just Harry Kane muttering to himself and being really frustrated. But you don't see that from anyone else. It seems as though Harry Kane is the only one in that whole team that really care and really is going to go have a sleepless night when they go home. Him and Conte, pretty much. He's
the only one who has that drive, that mentality to be the best. Do you think Dyer has that mentality and drive to be the best? I don't see it. It doesn't. It seems where he's happy at his level. He like that. Then he's happy to be at where he is, making these mistakes and sometimes putting in good performances. That's not what we need to go to the next level. We have too many stopgaps when it comes to the transfer market. We don't have a consistent philosophy throughout the whole club. It's like we're going to plug a gap here, we're going to sign a player who we can sign here. It's not like we're going to sign players to fill specific roles that we need for the team. And it leads to situations where we have a player on loan for 6 months who doesn't fit the system. What's the point? Yeah. What's the point of having him here? What's the point? If Conte if Conte didn't need a player like that, then why the hell did we nick him from Everton and bring him in? If why were we so desperate to bring him in if that was the case? I think Conte, all that frustration bore out yesterday in Conte's press conferences. It was passionate, and it was obviously, you got in those situations, you're going to get a lot of people saying it's unbelievable. How can anyone defend him? You're going to have people say you leave these things in house. It was a meltdown, people say, and all these kind of things. I just saw someone at his wit's end who's very passionate about his job and wants to be the best and wants his club to be the best. And he's kind of trying to up the standards of everyone else, and everyone else seems to be happy not being the best, essentially. And he's kind of happy with mediocrity. And he's kind of trying to drive everyone up and trying to drive everyone forward. And everyone else is kind of saying, actually, we're pretty happy here.
Yeah.
And that's why he's going mad.
Of course, and when you see a team that's got worse from last season, then he's well warranted to say that, because the fact of the matter is, I agree with some fans that say that this kind of stuff should be kept in-house. But when it's been going on for that long, for so long, that predates Conte, that predates Nuno, that predates Jose Mourinho, needs to come out. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening. And ultimately, Paul O'Keefe and all the journalists coming out this morning saying that he didn't lay into the board yesterday. What did you make out of that? Do you think he laid into the board yesterday?
I think that I think if you read his quotes, board 100%.
No, I get that.
He
But
is
do you
saying
think
that.
he did call out the board? Time and time again. How many times, how many seasons are we going to go into with these terrible players and centre backs? It's just not good enough, and it's all a circumstance from the board. That's what it is. All this.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. I think there isn't a coherent strategy between the board and the manager, and that leads to big problems as well. The board, more often than not, look to cut corners when it comes to players rather than getting what the team needs. When we do end up spending big money, it's okay, fine. We can spend big money on players like Richarlison or players like that, but are those players that we really want and the team need, or are those players that we can actually just sign? And that's the reality. I think a lot of the time, Spurs, their transfer strategies is what can we do or not, instead of what should we do. I think a lot of the time it's who can we sign, not who should we sign, and that leads to situations where when we don't really have the proper tools in the squad.
When you go into a transfer window, every single transfer window, and don't have a clear plan and clear objectives and literally just scouring the market for any good opportunities that come around, then what do we expect to happen? Do we expect to go on and fight for titles and go far in the Champions League and win cups? Because it's not going to happen. You need a clear plan and clear targets every single window that need planning, not just going into a window willy-nilly and saying, oh, look, he's running out his contract in a year. Oh, Everton need money, so let's go spend 60 million on Richarlison. It doesn't work. We need clear objectives and clear plans and clear positional targets that we focus on every single year, and we don't do that.
Yeah, and if we're going to go into a season with Dyer and Longley and Sanchez and Tanganga as all our options at centre-back, then you have to have realistic expectations, and that's the reality. And if your expectations are challenged for top four, then what are we doing? Yeah. We are challenging for top four. So what do you expect? He wants more. He wants better. And it's not gonna, and that's why he's going crazy. He wants a challenge for a title. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to be here like scraping the barrel of top four and just trying to sneak in there.
That's not what we want to be either.
And that's what we want to be. So how can I be angry at Conte trying to elevate this club and trying to make us be better? And then I'm going to be angry at him for calling it out, when the club and the players seem to be just happy to be in a top four race and happy to be a bit to be mediocre. Yeah. And that's reality right now. Like I want us to match Conte's ambition, and I want us to be better. Demand more from ourselves. But it seems like this club is just perennially happy just to be challenging for top four, and sometimes get it, sometimes not, and that's all we're happy to be. We're happy to be mediocre, and that's just not good enough anymore.
I felt like Conte was just speaking for the fan base yesterday and feeling what most people are saying, what most people are feeling, to be honest, and not being able to get their voices heard. But after the press conference yesterday, a lot of fans, including myself, coming out saying, oh, surely Conte can't last this, surely Levy's going to give him the chop. I mean, I was half expecting at one point that I would wake up this morning and Conte would already be fired. But then I had to think about it, and I was thinking, to be honest, while we're still in the top four race, while we're looking like we're going to get top four, while we're still in the top four, Levy would probably take Conte calling him out in every press conference if he still managed to get top four. Like, if he gets his objectives, then what does Levy care?
Well, if Conte has clarified his quotes, in quote, this morning, which apparently he has, according to Alistair Gold, to the board, saying that he wasn't taking shots at the board. If they agree with that assessment and that he was squarely blaming the players, then I guess they won't feel as strongly as maybe a lot of the fans did last night as to what the reaction would be if he's calling out the players. And depends how the players respond. Obviously, if all the players completely just turn on him and say, look, we're not going to play for you anymore, then obviously there has to be a big decision. But I think the board, if they accept his explanation, then I don't see a reason to part ways right now. It does make. I think Conte needs to shock these players into something, and right now, that was what I was worried about. I said it before the Southampton game. I said it after the Milan game, that I'm worried about the season just petering out, the players not being fully into this top four fight and just allowing the season to drift away. And that's what Conte doesn't want to happen. I think you saw that yesterday. Any sign of that happening, he's going to be on it like a flash. And he's going to make sure these players don't, don't get away with it. Don't get away with just allowing the season to drift. And they have to be up for the fight. They have to be up. I said it in the Southampton preview. I absolutely said it. I'm not worried about beating a team like Southampton quality-wise. I'm worried about us being up for the fight when push comes to shove, because Southampton are going to be scrapping and scraping for every single tackle and to get every point they can. They're going to be scrapping, and once they turned it into a scrap, we didn't want any of it. And that's what Conte's saying. That's what he's wary about. He wants the mentality to be different. He wants, if it's a battle, we match that fight. We match that intensity. And we didn't do that. And that's why he's going mad. And that's why, because he doesn't want any sign. He doesn't want any sign of us not putting our all from now to the end of the season. And the first sign of it, he's going to call it out.
Yeah. And look, I think it's clear for everyone to see that the club and Conte probably will part ways at the end of the season. But I think those are the home truths that the players really need to hear yesterday. They really need to hear it. And I wish I was a fly on the wall in the dressing room after that game. I was saying to you after the game that I wish they did all or nothing this year rather than that year under Jose Mourinho. But look, I was getting really tired of things under Conte, with him not kind of signing that contract and us not knowing anything. But after that press conference yesterday, I swear to you, I'm more Conte in than I've ever been, because I saw the fire in him yesterday. I saw a man that really cared for the club yesterday, that really cared for that fan base yesterday. And I saw players on that pitch that didn't, to be honest, to be quite frank with you. So I am fully on board with Antonio Conte after those comments that he made yesterday. So it's a sad state of affairs that has to go down to this way because of these players that we do have. But it'll be interesting to hear your opinions on everything. But that is our reaction to the Antonio Conte press conference yesterday. We've got a few super chats here. One from Carl saying, how do I call in? I clicked on the link, downloaded Wirecast, but never been able to call in. Please explain how to do so. Well, you don't need to download Wirecast. All you need to do is click that link in your browser, type your name and click join. And
Depends if you're on the phone or not.
Yeah, depends. Are you in a phone or are you on a laptop, to be
Because
honest?
if you are on the phone, then you do need to download it.
But not Wirecast. Wirecast Go, right?
Yeah, Wirecast
Go. But you can actually access it on the phone without downloading Wirecast Go if you copy and paste the link. Is it into Safari or Chrome?
Either, I think.
Either. And Jake Bacchus says, never been more Conte in. So big up to you, Jake. Let's keep going and let's go to our guests. And we have Aravind up first. How you doing, Aravind?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate. We can hear you loud and clear. Well, I guess we'll start with the game yesterday. I mean, any points that you want to bring up on the game yesterday, or you want to go straight into Conte?
Wait, let's start with the game, right? We can start with that. But talking about attacking wise, I think the first half we played really well. I didn't see it was really structured. We really wanted to get on by the start. Pedro Porro played well. We can see the difference in the right back situation instantly. The goal was amazing. The pass from Son was amazing. Put it in the back of the net. So attacking wise, we did really well. But again, it's the same thing. The defensive fragilities we have season on season. it we can't defend for some reason. Perisic, Longley, Dyer, they keep on giving away silly goals, and was it's not acceptable. It's frustrating for a manager, right, to go 3-1 up against, and then you concede 2 goals. It's true. Anytime a pressure is on in this team, we fumble. It's either with Conte, it's either with Mauricio Pochettino in the semifinals, it's either with Mourinho against Zagreb. We have the lead, we fumble. Any pressure on us, every team anywhere in the world knows if they put pressure on Tottenham Hotspur, the players don't know what to do. Each and everyone needs to take the responsibility. And yesterday's result, why it hurt him a lot, which I feel for Conte is more than if it was like if they dominated us and they won against us, then it's a different thing. But we were 3-1 up, and to give away 2 goals in 15 minutes, right? We can argue how much we want about whether it's a penalty or not, but to give away 3 goals against Southampton, who can't score, it's not acceptable from that point of view from these players. You can't be doing that, and especially getting a 3-1 lead, 2 goals in hand, 15 minutes to go, close the game, communicate with each another, try to finish off the game, close it. We can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking, to be honest. I mean, you're talking about a Southampton team, bottom of the league, scored 11 goals all season prior to that game, and we let them score 3 goals against us. It's just
I
not
mean,
good
lot
enough.
a lot of people talk about tactics. What do you want him to do? 4 at the back, 3 at the back. Anyone at the back, it's not going to make a difference. It's not like we have any good defenders. We don't have 4 at the back. Who do you want to play in the left back? Who do you want to play in the right back? We have Emerson. Emerson came in, same thing. We had Perisic on. There's no difference. Longley, Davis, Sanchez, everyone over here, and there's no difference in this. Difference in the team.
Yeah,
A
and
lot.
like people want to see us play expansive football. I mean, what do they expect with these set of players? How are we supposed to play expansive
we, we
football?
can't we can't play expand. Okay, okay. Offensively, we are good. It's not like we are struggling to score goals. The score goals, we're not struggling. The problem is defensively. If we're gonna play offensive football, we want to again. What do you want to do? We scored 3 goals, 15 minutes left. It's the defense which is gonna. If you're gonna play offensive football, I feel you're gonna concede more than before. Playing 5 at the back, we're conceding 3. You're gonna play 4 at the back with a high line, you're going to concede more. If Conte can sustain 1 year with this defense, with playing the system, I think so. Any offensive manager won't sustain more than 4 months for the defense we have. Sorry to say, the defense is
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, and the
And
fact of the matter is like we can bring in a new manager, and these players might get better for a few months or whatever, but it's always going to revert back, isn't it?
yeah, it's true, man. I'm not pissed nowadays, right? I'm not pissed because I know what these players are capable of, right? We can't. I don't expect much from Dyer, Davis. They're average players. If they're anywhere of quality, I can be like, come on, boys, this is nothing. Yes, he talked about taking responsibility, and spot on. I just loved it the way he went on it. We needed some manager to go on and give something to the fans, to say something. And
So, yeah.
the owner itself doesn't have the fire to win anything for this club. What do you expect from the players? What do you expect from anyone to even give it anything? They know this. These players know, right? Eric Dyer knows. Ben Davis knows. Even if we don't win titles, they're going to get the money. They'll get a new contract. So the culture is not that. That's what he's trying to say. Conte is what he's explaining to say that there isn't a culture, a winning culture in this club. There isn't responsibility. There isn't fire in the players to win something, right? They don't want to win anything, and it's clear. It's clear. We can see it. I told it last time. There's incompetence from each and every side, and he is also taking the responsibility. He blamed himself in it. We also get paid. I also get paid 15 million. The players get paid the money, and everyone needs to take responsibility. He's blamed Daniel Levy, he's blamed himself, and he's blamed the players. He's blamed everyone. He's not throwing anyone on the bus. He's throwing everyone on the bus. He's saying everyone needs to take the responsibility for what has happened yesterday, for what has happened in the past 1 year, right? You can't keep on blaming the managers. You can't keep on blaming the players. You need to. Everyone needs to take the blame, and it's true. It's true, and that needs to be as much as you can blame the managers. We this thing. What's the players doing? What type of players we're bringing? And there's no there isn't any plan. Like, okay, Pedro Porro is a really good player. If Conte is not there next season, whom are we buying these players for? Whom are we blaming Richarlison for? What is the first problem to address? The defense is an issue. Everyone knows. Why are we not addressing it? We have a right left wing back situation. We have a right. Are we playing four at the back? Are we playing five at the back? Are we playing with two defenders? Do we need a left back? What system are we playing? What do we need to achieve? There's so many questions, right? There is no responsibility. There's no plan. There's no fire. There's nothing from this club. It's absolutely rotten. The football is just taken as a separate side, and all they care is we can talk about Levy concerts and everything which he does. It's just a side business which is going on right now, and that's the truth. And that's what he wants, and he doesn't want to stay here. And people who are saying Conte won't stay here, who is saying that? There's no that. Yep, he's just giving the home truths about the club, but there is no reason where I can say that he's out this season. Sorry to say, it depends what. There is no conversation which has happened. Is there any conversation that's happened between the board, him, and Conte? Like, have they spoken to him? Have they talked anything? So that there's a lot of things left till the end of the season to decide who the manager is.
Aravind, what do you think of? What do you say to fans who say some of Conte's comments disrespected the club yesterday?
What has he disrespected? He's just talking the truth. What has he disrespected?
Saying that we're used to not competing for anything. We haven't won anything for 20 years. Kind of just saying this club is never going to win anything.
That's not disrespecting. I feel that's home truths talked about the club. 20 years we haven't won anything. That's a truth. He's not said that this club is useless. This club isn't a big club. If he talked anything like that, then it's disrespectful. What he has just told that players are not showing the fight for the badge. The players are not showing any respect, and he's not directly hinted on Daniel Levy. He's just said these players are the reasons why the players which have come into the club are the reasons why 20 years we haven't won anything. I think so. It's truths which is given. It's just shots fired to everyone. It's just shots fired to everyone, right? Even as much I like Kane and Son, they need to take the responsibility on the pitch. They should not be selfish. They need to communicate with each another. We are the top players. Communicate with each another and talk with each another. What is going on? What is happening? These things need to be sorted from the pitch itself. There isn't any fight. I don't think I don't agree with these people saying that he's disrespected the club. I think so. He's spot on. He's speaking the truth. It's come out from his heart, right? When a manager really wants to win something, and I really like him, right? He wants to win something with this club, right? If he doesn't give a shit about this club, he would have just ran out the contract, not talked anything, and gone off. He's talking from his heart, right? He's the only manager in the last few years who's talked from the heart. As much as Mauricio Pochettino, we really loved him. He's the first manager who's come talking from his heart. These are the issues. Are you ready to change, or should I leave? That's what he's saying directly.
Yeah. And I think it's absolutely spot on, like I said, from Conte. I mean, a lot of fans calling him to be sacked after what he said yesterday. And I was kind of half expecting it, but what would you say to them?
I don't agree. I don't agree with the people who want Conte sacked for this issue. If it was something else, I do agree. But for what he said, I can't agree with what he for this reason to be sacked. To be really honest, if I'm the owner, if someone who is really talking like this about this club, I'll be going to him, discussing what do you want, and give him the bloody contract. I would give him the contract in the international break. Look, we do agree with what you're saying. This is how it is run. This is the changes which is needed. Work with this manager. Any manager, right? We bring. Okay, forget Conte, right? If you don't want Conte, right? My only pissed off factor is we can't keep on sacking managers. Any manager who's going to come into this club needs to be given 2 to 3 years minimum with a budget with backing of players, right? You can't just bring in some random players which no one wants. These are these players which needs to be this for this system. This is the sporting director. This is the academy. We need to work with that fashion. We did that for 2 years under Mauricio Pochettino. He worked with the academy. He had Paul Mitchell. He bought Victor Wanyama, who is a top player. He bought in certain players. The first season, which Mauricio Pochettino was that he did the revamp of everything, right? He was given everything. This is the team. At least so we saw an upward tilt. Then afterwards, it went down because again the same thing. The manager isn't backing. The owner isn't backing the manager. The same thing. It's happening with each and every manager, and it's happening with each and every person who's coming to the club. Any manager going to bring the next, it's gonna. I don't see the difference. It's going to be the same issue. So it's home truths, it's facts. I think so. Fans need to wake up. The board needs to wake up. Everyone needs to wake up right now. What is the? Give us the plan. Give us what needs to be done for this club. To be really honest, I'm really pissed in the fact that what's the future of this club? What is happening? 10 games. What is this? What are we playing for this 10 games? What is this 10 games for? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, the only thing we do have is top four, but he's clearly looking for reaction from
But
his
what,
players, right,
But
Antonio?
what's the point of the top four, right? We need to get some substance. Why are we achieving the top four? We just stop at top four. We are not improving anywhere from that. Top four to top one. How do you take the next step? People
I
keep
get
on
that.
talking about 90s.
I get that, but you kind of, well, I say you kind of need top four to make that step, but you don't really, because we saw with Arsenal, they never got top four, and
Yeah.
they're top of the league now, about to go 8 points clear.
More than the league standings, it's more about what the club does at the background, right? Who is the owner? What players you get? If that is sorted, then you can achieve what you want. No one expected us to reach the Champions League finals with Mauricio Pochettino. No one expected us to challenge the league two times. But what happened at the background with a certain philosophy, with a certain structure, that gives you the success, not the league standings. League standings just show you how good you how good you are for that season. But the process behind tells you more about the club, more about the philosophy. That's what Arsenal did. Arsenal backed the manager. They gave him, whether I agree, you don't agree, or no one agrees, they had a structure and a plan. This is what we'll do. We'll give Arteta, the managers, what he wants. This is what we'll spend. We'll see how this goes in the next 3 years, and they may go on to win the title. That is what is important. That's what I want to see. I want to see a club. Let's say, if how much of a people wants Conte out, if tomorrow they go and say, Antonio Conte, we're giving you 2 years contract. This is what we want to do. I want you to work with the academy with these kind of. I'm just giving an example, or I'll give you these type of players, or either sack him, get in another manager, give him a 3 year contract. I want you to work with the academy. This is a structure. I'll give you these players. I don't want this club to go and sign some random players. This is club signings. I'm getting Conte. I want giving club signings. I don't know whether the manager is going to stay for next season or not. Or the seventh or eighth position decides the managers. We need to get top four every season. That's not what needs to happen. The process is important. The process behind is important, and that needs to be fixed.
Big up, Aravind. Great call as always, and we shall speak to you next time.
Sure. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big words from Aravind there. As we were on that call, Arsenal have scored again 3-0, and they are going 8 points clear. And on that note, let's bring on Ash Magic.
Yes, boys. What's going on, man?
Straight in, no mute. Loving that. How you doing, man?
No mute. Oh, I was going to say, bro, I'm on mute again. I panicked. I'm doing well, man.
You are doing well, even with the mute stuff. But look, a crazy day yesterday on the pitch, off the pitch. Where do you want to start, man?
Big up to the last caller, man, and big up to the people in the comments. I always forget to shout out to the people in the comments, man. Everyone's got their view. Every view is valid. Come have your say. Don't forget to hit the like buttons as well. For these boys, they've done an amazing job to get our voice out. I really appreciate it. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a voice. But anyway, moving on. The actual game itself, I just feel like when it comes to the fire in the belly, like I understand what Conte means when he talks about, because you can tactically set up. He had a whole week to prepare, and you can set up a certain way, and the players can know what to do. But if they don't match the other team's intensity, if they don't have the same vim, if they don't have the same ferocity, if they don't have the same passion, then it doesn't matter what tactics, or if you're more attacking or if you're more defensively. If you don't match the other team's desire to win a game, then it's pointless. So I understand what Conte means in that context when he's talking about, you know, you have to play for the badge. You know, fans travel up and down the country. They pay their money. They pay us. The club pay us to do a job. And are we doing that? Are the players doing that job? Too many times it's come to the management. Too many times it comes to the board. Like, what about the players that are actually on the pitch? Are they giving 1,000%? Because as fans, we've seen it too many times. We've seen our team being let down. Why is Sheffield United beating us? Because they had the intensity. You saw the challenges they were putting in. They were putting their bodies on the line. Are Tottenham players putting their body on their line, tooth and nail? Do we love defending? Do we love the art of defending? Are we super passionate when it comes to clearing balls off the line? Do we want to win every tackle? Do we want to cover every blade of grass on the pitch? Do we have the minerals when we go down a goal that we don't lose our head? Oh, we've gone to go down. Oh, that happened against Sheffield United. All right, what do we do now? Like, who do we look to? Do we have it as a team to have that bite? And these are the questions that the manager is asking. This is what is the fundamentals of football or of any competitive sport. Do you have the heart? Do you have the energy? Do you have what it takes? Because if you're a team, it doesn't matter if you're a small team or a big team, if you've got superstars in your team, if you've got quality in your team, if you're coming to the game and you're not putting 100% or 1,000%, as I said before, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the tactics are. And I think that's what Conte was alluding to when in his press conference. But
do you think at all he was disrespecting the club with the comments he made yesterday?
Look, for me, like, I don't understand the whole, oh my days, you can't throw your players under the bus in public versus behind closed doors. Because if you're saying it to them behind closed doors, it's not like, oh my days, all the fans can hear, I'm so embarrassed. Like, they're big boys, do you understand? They're big men, they're adults. They can take criticism publicly or privately. That's the part of their job. That's what, when they switch on their social media, they're gonna get criticisms from the fans anyway, from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever, on comments. They're getting tagged. They know what's going on. Do you understand? So if the manager's coming out and doing it privately and then he's doing it publicly, like, he's basically saying, I don't know what else to do because you're not responding to me when I'm behind the door. So you know what? I've had enough. I'm doing it public. In terms of whether he's going after the board or not, the way I see it, I personally think the 20 years, I don't know. I don't think those players have been there for 20 years. So that's the reason why I read it as he was going after the board, because it's a mentality on all fronts. It can't just be the players. It's got to be the staff room. It's got to be the board. Remember, he was attacking the medical team earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
How come the medical team isn't doing well? So it's not the first time he's come out and said something along those lines. Do you know what I mean? He's been attacking. But because he hasn't said it word for word, and he's able to say, you know, well, I didn't say that. Technically, I didn't say that. You kind of get the energy, like you kind of can read between the lines and say, you know what, I think he was going at the board at that particular point for that particular moment.
What do you think of when he says the players, you know, with this club we're used to this situation, not challenging for big things, and we're used to not playing under pressure. We don't like to play under pressure, and you know, and is that disrespectful to say Tottenham are used to not playing for big things?
You know, when you said that, bro, it kind of hurt my stomach. I can't lie. every time he said it, like it used to be dying. I was like, oh, don't say it. Stop talking, Sim. Sim, stop talking. I don't want to hear it. Like it's one of those things there. It's one of those like home truths that are ugly. Like you don't want to hear it from your own. Do you understand? So I kind of get why fans are kind of pissed on the other end, saying like, "How dare you say that?" But at the other end, the other side of me says, "Bro, you're talking facts. You're talking truths because, like, what type of club do we want to be?" He said it before. What type of club are we? Do we want to do 6th, 7th, 8th? It's not the first time he said that as well. He said this before. What type of club? I came here thinking like, raw. I want to win things. I'm a winner. Like, I don't even think he wants 4th because even Højbjerg came out and said, I'm not happy with 4th. So you know he's echoing what the manager's saying. Managers never come here to have a 4th place finish and be happy with Champions League football. I know the owner's ambitions is 4th place minimum. Do you know what I mean? But Conte is a serial winner. That's what he came for. He didn't come to just sit and be like a number amongst the teams in that the Champions League, etc., etc. He came to become a winner. He came to win things, and he's just saying this is another example of why you don't win things. But it hurts, bro. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I can't lie to you. It really hurts, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. But go on, Tim.
No, I was just going to say with Antonio Conte, how do you think the players are going to react to hearing this from him, in your opinion? Do you think that it's going to help them galvanise for the rest of the season, or do you reckon they'll down tools?
No, for me, like it worked against Burnley. When it was Burnley, he was like, I don't know. Is it me? I don't know. Should I leave? I don't know. I don't think I'm good enough. You know what I mean? So I just think it's another tactic of his, like, well, this is like a last throw at the dice. If this doesn't work, then boy, it is what it is, and the play's just done. And I think I should walk because I don't think I can get anything out of this club. So I definitely think it's a psychological tactic from Conte to kind of rile up the fans, not the fans, the players, like to see if they do have heart, to see if they do have fire, to see if he can get a reaction from them. The only problem is there's a 2-week international break. So they all going to piss off to their countries and they're going to just play for the international country and just do what they want to do and then come back. And then it's like, as a manager, it's quite frustrating. Obviously, you've got a few players that you can work with, but majority of the players, they're all internationals, aren't they? So they're going to go and do their thing. Did Skip get a call out to the England team?
Under 21s, he did.
Oh, under 21s. Okay, cool. So yeah, he'll be gone as well. So yeah, he's not going to have many players to work with because they're all working for the countries, aren't they? So it's just bad timing, I think, on that part.
But like you say, he's trying to get that reaction out of the players, right?
Definitely.
But it's gonna go one of two ways. Either the players completely reject what he says and throw him on the bus even more, or they're gonna rally behind him and really show what they're made of. And which way do you think it's gonna go?
I think it's 50-50. I don't think all of the players will throw him under the bus. I think there's some players that will play for him, and then I think there's some players that will kind of like maybe switch off a little bit because maybe the training's too intense. He's too intense of a person because like some personalities just clash. Do you know what I mean? And some people might be like, "Fuck you!" Like
winners and losers, basically. Though those mentalities clash.
Yeah, those will clash. But no, not even just that. To be fair, like, winners. Ultimately, winners and losers. Because I remember when it was Bentancur having an argument with Conte, and they're like literally on the byline having an argument, blah, 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 going at it. But by the end of it, like Bentancur does his job. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got that winning mentality, and I think Conte likes it. He doesn't mind having a scrap with his players. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't mind having a little argument because that's how. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're a family. Like you have arguments with your siblings, you have arguments with your parents, but at the end of the day, they're your family, and that's what matters. Do you know what I mean? And that's all that matters. But I just think, I think if the next game we
guess
we
what?
win,
Ndombele has just scored for Napoli.
My God. Anyway, yeah. Just to add some more problems, but Yeah, I just think if we win, then obviously that conversation kind of dies down, and then everyone's like, oh, they're playing for Conte now, and Conte's a genius, and that narrative starts to happen. But this is where I want to change the narrative a little bit, because, like, I've said it before, and Sims kind of hit the nail on the head saying that we are a 45-minute type of team. And you start to think, why is that? Why are we a 45-minute team? I think personally, is a lapse of concentration throughout the game. And I look at what happened in the first game, like the first goal against Southampton was at the start of the second half. So we've had a slight lapse of concentration, and they scored. Obviously, it's gone to 1-1. So that's nothing to do with the 45 minutes, but that's just individual, the switching off. All right, switching off. And they get into the game, they score a goal. Players are out of position, we're playing slightly higher up, and we get caught. Do you know what I mean? For those people that want more expensive football. Anyway, the second goal, obviously Nathan Miles has a shot, and Forster pulls up a top save with his long arms. Like, he just reaches it like go gadget arms, and he saves it.
go gadget.
Yeah, for those who know, Doctor, yeah, you know. Anyway, Inspector Gadget. But yeah. Anyway, I think that shot comes off because there's a lapse of concentration, because your defensive midfielders shouldn't be allowing that shot to happen. That ball comes in originally from their talisman. Who's the talisman?
Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse, yeah. Ward-Prowse is not being put under enough pressure. So he has enough time to turn and find Nathan Miles in that area, in that position. I need my defensive midfielders to do their job and defend at that point. I need them to stop Nathan Miles picking out his players. And in the second phase of play, I need another defensive midfielder to come out, or even one of the defenders. Someone needs to press it. Someone needs to stop that shot. Because guess what? A corner happens from that. From that corner, there's so many defensive errors, because we defend the corner right, but then it comes out. It comes out to one of their players. So our defensive midfielders need to rush out, or double pivots need to rush out, or one of the defenders need to rush out and stop that ball from coming back into play. Højbjerg's put his hand up for some reason. I don't know if he thinks it's a handball. He puts his arm up, and that allows the pass out wide to James Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse plays the ball back in. Perisic and Skip are underneath it instead of being on top of it. Because of that underneath it, they win the ball. It comes down to Walcott. Walcott gets the second goal. So there's many lapses of concentration and a lack of energy. So my point I was trying to make is, sometimes in the game, the reason why we're 45-minute Spurs is, I think sometimes we need to make a change in that midfield too, or we change tact and put an extra midfielder in there, so it stops Southampton from dominating us. Because a lot of the time, I was watching a match of the day, and they're talking about 5-4-1. Our Spurs are so negative, 5-4-1. But when you haven't got the ball, that's the reason why we're in the 5-4-1. It's not like we want to play 5-4-1. It's just how we play when we're out of position, like when we're losing the ball. So I just feel like a bit of freshness, adding an extra body in there, waking up the players. Sometimes they're going to be able to sniff the danger that someone's been playing a game for like 60, 70 minutes may not see, if that makes sense. So that's why Conte has, I'm not going to give him a free pass on this one. I'm going to say, look, it's been happening. It's been a pattern throughout the season, and we need to address this 45-minute Spurs. Throw an extra player on, tighten it up, or Conte, change something in the middle. Something needs to work, because that's where we're losing our possession. Time and time again, you hear fans saying, oh, we need to go to 4 at the back, because, and I'm not saying we need to go to 4 at the back. I'm saying something just needs to tactically happen, tactically change. If we're not switched on in the game and we keep losing games and we can't see games out, you know what I mean? I don't mind that. I understand the substitution for like Emerson coming on, because people are like, no, we need to go more front footed, we need to be more attacking, we need to be on the pitch, blah, blah, blah. But at that stage, we were 3-2 down, and we were trying to see out the game. And my last point, Yeah, 3-2 up. Sorry, we're 3-2 up, and yeah, we need to see out the game. So I understand why Emerson came on because he didn't want to concede another goal. So I do get that tactic. I'm not shouting at him for that, but that penalty for me was not a penalty because Sarr has gone to clear the ball. His eyes are on the ball, and he's gone to kick the ball. Right? I know they said, high boot, dangerous, blah blah blah, pen. That's what it's done for, isn't it? Because the Southampton players nicked in front of them. But for me, like I thought that was super, super harsh to give it. Albeit that Southampton had the momentum, they had a chance before that, and they were pushing for it more than we were. And I go back to that fire and that heart and desire, intensity. You need that in that midfield. You need that. And if you ain't got the legs, come off. Or if we ain't got the legs, Conte, make the change. So the blame has to be evenly distributed. That's all. That's what I'm saying. That's all. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It's hard to disagree, Ash, but thanks for coming on today, my friend.
Nice one, Ash.
And,
wait. One more thing.
Go on.
Just before I go, right? If Conte's to go, we're going to sign another defensive manager. The reason why we're going to sign another defensive manager is because we got a defensive sporting director of football.
Yeah, how long is he going to be here for?
I don't know. But I'm just saying, if he stays, we're going to get someone in that mold of a Fonseca or a Silva.
Fonseca is an attacking manager.
But what I mean is, even like Fonseca or even like a who else was it? Enrique, right? Enrique's attacking, Fonseca's attacking, right? But essentially, if they do the 3-4-3, it's still going to be predominantly defensive. We're going to still have that kind of DNA of a defensive kind of coach, if that makes sense. We're not going to be an out-and-out attacking team, in my opinion. And I think as long as Paratici's there, I think that's what's going to happen, in my opinion.
But this is the thing, like three at the back, it doesn't need to be a defensive formation, right? Look at the way Sporting deploy it with Amorim. Like, they are not a defensive team. There are plenty of teams that play three at the back that are not defensive teams. It's the way you set it up and it's the way you play it, right? It's not it's not as simplistic as just like you play three at the back, you're a defensive team. That's not the case, is it?
No, it's true. And even with Enrique, he played three at the back of Barcelona. And I think the reason why they did that was, and they did it to kind of, they had the 3-4-3, but I think Xavi and Iniesta were aging and they used the defenders to bypass the midfield and play it straight into attacking three because that's where their strengths are. So, but yeah, I digress anyway. But that's my point. I'm done. I let the other viewers come on.
I think it's also so lazy to say, oh, we play such defensive football. We play a back five, but we don't really play a back five. The wingers, the wing backs are pushed up right higher than the attackers. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you saw Porro and Davies and
exactly. So three at the back.
That was the reason why we were creating many chances in that first half and the second half. They were super high up. So really, it's an attacking formation when you look at it. And we did create a lot of chances. You look at the stats. The stats don't lie. We did have chances, albeit they have more chances and big chances than us. But we did create chances. So, yeah.
Big up, Ash. We'll speak to you very soon. Boys. Thanks for coming on. And we'll see you in a bit.
Big up Spurs, man. Big up yourself.
Yeah.
Big up. All right, let's keep going. Since we've gone, there's been 2 goals in the Arsenal game. It is now 4-1 to Arsenal, and they are going 8 points clear. But let's get on Elias. Elias,
hey,
how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, not. I don't know how to define the emotions right now.
You like all of us, man. But at least you can still keep a smile on your face. That's the main thing. But look, you came on the fan show yesterday, had a bit of a fiery debate with the boys in the studio. What do you want to talk about today? You want to go into the game, or you want to talk about Conte's comments from after the game? Where do you want to start?
I think I'll go with Conte's comments after the game. Look, guys, I think I've been saying that a few times already recently as well, that it's okay to be critical about the manager and the decisions that he made. the decisions that he made inside the game, the decisions that he made outside the game when he gave the interview. It's okay to be critical about it, and I think we are all at times critical about some things. But to say that Conte has to take a higher blame, Conte is to be blamed for giving the interview, Conte needs to be blamed for whatever he said, Conte is to be blamed for the loss. To me, that's a bit harsh. Given that we have been actually saying that as fans lately as well, that why can't Conte come up and say what are the real problems? Why does he always defend the club lately? I think Ben and Sim, we have had these conversations before on this, even this fan show as well before, that why can't Conte sometimes come out and say what are the problems in the club rather than always defending the club? Now, since he has come out, and rather than supporting him, and rather than saying that yes, he's done the right thing, there's a big part of fan base that's saying that no, this is disrespectful towards the club. This is not the way he should have done it. This is not the right timing. I mean, what is the right timing then? Seriously, I don't understand why are we so quick to now point the blame back at him.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, and I watched that interview and came out with even more support for Antonio Conte. I felt like he was saying what all the fans, or the majority of the fans, are thinking, and I think I commend him for coming out and saying what he said yesterday, and it probably should have come out earlier than it did.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, but I think why he couldn't come up with it earlier is like now he has had enough, and I brought this point up yesterday as well, that when you're tied under a contract, and when you're doing this job managerially, there are a lot of nowadays, because of media and all that, there are clauses involved and all that, where it kind of restricts you what you can say in media and what you cannot say. Otherwise, I think every week we will see the managers coming out, because I think in past we used to see, like before the social media world, we used to see managers doing that pretty often, but now you hardly see that because there's all these laws involved and stuff like that. So I think that those kind of things did restrict him to a certain extent, that he cannot come out and say those things openly. But now since he has had enough, and now only 2 months are remaining in his contract, so he's like, yeah, if like for just me speaking the truth and me highlighting the facts, if I were to get a sack, or if I were to go, I think it's fine, really. Like, I'd rather be accurate and be precise about the problems within the club, than worrying about the job now for the last 2 months, or the last 2 months payroll. I mean, who cares, seriously? I don't know how much is he earning per month. I really don't know, but
I think he got a
seriously, it just
15 million a year contract or something like that.
so I think it's like about two. I think 1 point something million a month, some around along those lines, I suppose.
Hmm.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, the fact that he has done that, I mean, he has my massive respect. Like, that man has that told the fans the reality that we have been facing for the last 22 years. We haven't won a trophy. We have been struggling, and our focus has been all the time on the top four. And I think he has clearly said that yeah, he's not a top four type of manager. He's the manager who aims for something higher, something more ambitious. He wants to see the best out of our players. But the club is just focused on the top four stint a bit too much, that we are ignoring that. We are asking for a fantastic, attractive football. The other question I usually like to ask is that what is a fantastic, attractive football? Is it like what Napoli is playing right now, when they are, I think, 4-0 up right now in their game, or is it like the Arsenal sort of football? Is that the definition of attractive football? It's just a football that wins you things, right? Like, there's no magic, or there's no talisman inside of that sort of football, right? These conversations sometimes do drain me a little bit, because they a lot of times, Ben and Sim, it doesn't make sense. Like, what are we asking for? When you ask somebody why attacking football, why Conte is a problem, nobody seems to answer that somehow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with a backup of facts, at least.
But when it comes to what Conte was saying in his press conference yesterday, what do you say to people who say, those kind of comments, they shouldn't be made publicly, they should be kept in house, you should never you should never call out your players publicly, it never helps the situation? What do you say about that?
I would say that it does happen inside as well. I think we are pretty sure that these kind of things do happen inside behind the closed doors as well. But I think now Conte is kind of like fed up in a way as well, because he's getting a lot more criticism. I think overall, we on we all on YouTube, I think we're active on streams, and we catch up on news and all. There's a big part of fan base who just want Conte out. I'm fine that, yes, if that's your opinion, you want Conte out. But the problem that I have is, why are we deflecting off the real issue? The real issue is not Conte, it's Daniel Levy and the board. We are too extreme on Conte, and we are struggling to point out the problems that Daniel Levy and the board are making at this point, or the mistakes that they are making at this point, or they have been making for the last 22 years. That's the real problem that I get. And to come back to your question, Sim, I think that it's sometimes necessary that, yeah, you do blame your particular players, or you do, not to say blame, or I use the word criticize, because it is sometimes important to highlight the reality to a bigger group of people as well. Otherwise, because we always see Conte saying me, we, and all that. Because even I have at times in my job, I mean, I don't work in some big firm, or something where you get to get interviews like that. But sometimes your boss do have to put you in a situation, or you to put you in a situation, put you in circumstances where you need to take a certain blame and ownership for your mistakes. If you are not doing that, you are not growing. In a way, these players need to learn that, yes, criticism can fall on them. If they are being selfish, they need to take the blame for that selfishness as well. You can't always run away with that, and that's a problem, I think, in the football culture as well. You always have the manager giving the interviews. You never see like the director of football coming and giving regular interviews. You never see the board or Daniel Levy or chairman and all these kind of people coming out and giving interviews. Once in a while, I think you do see a manager, sorry, a player alongside the manager giving it is, but hardly ever we actually ask the players that those kind of questions that we ask the managers. Why we don't do that? Like, it's beyond my understanding at times. Like, please, guys, the manager, every week he does take blame. He has to answer the press. If one day he come and point out the problems to the board, to the players, why can't we take it seriously? Why are we being so harsh on him? That why is it disrespectful?
I think that if this was a new thing, maybe, and if Pochettino maybe come out and did it after a couple of games, I think it would be disrespectful. But I think that now, when it's happened under so many different managers and over this course of so many different years now, and obviously they've tried to do stuff behind closed doors, and it just doesn't work, doesn't resonate with these players. So I think it's just like it's a circumstance of that, and the manager has to come out publicly and say something and try and get a rise from these players. Otherwise, we are just going to falter in this season, and nothing's going to come of it. So I completely agree with you, Elias. I don't think it's disrespectful to the club. I think it's something that needed to be said, and it's going to go one of two ways now. It's either the players are going to completely lose faith with this manager and fall out of passion with him because of what he said about them, or they're going to try their best to get him on side and catapult us to that top four by the end of the season. And which way do you think it's going to go?
I think it can go either way. I don't think that it will be a worst case scenario. It may turn out better for us in certain regards. But to answer your question, like why I think we are thinking that way, is that as fan base, I think sometimes we think a bit too sentimentally, or sentimentality is deep in our roots. I mean, because we love this club for many years and all that. And the reason why we are making up this whole narrative that, yeah, is disrespectful, because he has said certain things that are about the club. But we need to realize that the club is he is also part of the club. The players are also part of the club as well. He is highlighting the facts, and sometimes it's okay if you criticize yourself. Sometimes it's okay even to make fun of yourself, to be honest. For me, like, if it helps you grow further, if it helps you to like take a bit more of a self reflection, I think it's important. Even I do that personally for myself. I mean, in my teams, I do that to my interns as well. Sometimes it's important, because if you don't do that, it doesn't work out. And I think that's what Conte is doing, and I think it may in the end turn out positively. But it really depends on the players. What kind of attitude do they have towards this? How do they respond? How mature are they to really take it in a positive way? Or are they the big characters who put their ego before the success, before their growth, before not just the club's success, before their own growth as well, because it's part of your personal development as much as it's part of the club development. And it will be really interesting to see what kind of response we see from the players, and if players perform well, uh, a big credit goes to the players as well. That yeah, they have taken it seriously, they have stepped up, and that's why I call my channel Step Up Spurs.
Yeah, I mean,
We
it's
need
a
to step
difficult
up.
situation. What were you about to say?
Yeah, we need to step up sometimes out of the sentimentality, and focus on the positives, where you need to go through rough patches, rough times, and as a fan base as well, I think we need to embrace that. You were saying something, Ben?
I'll say, how many more rough times can we go through? We've been through since the last kind of 6 months of Pochettino. We've been in constant rough patches, literally. And when are this board going to take action? When are we going to see players come through the door that are going to fight for the badge? And we have seen a few players come in that are of that ilk, but we're still left with the players that we've got in the defensive positions. I mean, no, those are the real ones that are crumbling us at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there as well. Like, we have suffered enough over the last few years. Not just few years. 22 years is a long period, man. But I think now we need to see, as fan base. I think we need to stand united in a way, and take a bit more, and not be lazy. I mean, sometimes the problem with us fans is that once something bad goes up, we go onto that shit train, and start blaming anybody. Like, whatever we hear in media, whatever we hear here and there from our friends, we tend to believe that too easily. I think we need to think a bit more critically as fans as well, and realize the real issue, which is the board. I think we all can agree on it, and pressure them a little bit more, rather than pressuring the wrong targets like Conte, the players, and all that. They are temporary problems. Even if they are problems, they are temporary problems. But you need to dig the real problem, which is the board, from the root of it. And I think, to a certain extent, the things that we say on channels, the things that we say on Twitter, all these things, on a larger picture, it does matter. And we need to be united as a fan base, rather than having all sorts of narratives, and focus on at least the main issue, being Daniel Levy. At this point, it's not the players, it's not the manager. They are just the minor problems. The real issue is Daniel Levy and board.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, it is the players. Conte doesn't come away from this blameless at all. But the fact of the matter is, it all stems from the top. The guys at the top are the ones letting these players step on that pitch every week and let the situation fester. And if the guys from the top gave Conte what he needed and what he wanted, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. And that's the same case for every single manager that's walked in through this door. So I'd agree with you on that sense. But Elias, thank you very much for coming on today, and we'll speak to you next time.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Sim. Thanks for having me.
See you,
And
Elias.
as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And we have another caller that has just joined in. It goes by the name of the Joracle. I hope he has his, what was it, berry-flavoured beer or whatever he was saying yesterday. What has he got for us today?
It's cherry flavored beer, Ben.
Cherry flavoured.
Come on, it's the highlight on next season. You can't forget the flavor, man. So
I'm looking forward to tasting that. I heard you had an early taster.
Yeah. Me and Levy are working out the details. So
heard Levy's just hiding behind that counter in your flat over there, in your house over
there.
Yeah.
Well, he likes to come for some salmon fishing in Iceland, and I go along with that.
But look, Jory, you came on the show yesterday. You spoke of the game, so let's get into the comments made by Antonio. Yeah, you did. Well, I don't know if you commented on the game, but you commented on some cherry.
Oh
yeah.
I was the first caller yesterday. That's why I forgot. Yeah. True. Yeah.
But let's talk about those comments made by Conte yesterday. A lot of fans saying it was disrespectful to the club. A lot of the fans saying that he should just go now. He should get sacked after those comments made yesterday. What would you say to those fans?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I said it yesterday. I just want to say I'm so relieved that we managed to go to St. Mary's and come away with a point You know, that was
Snatched away a point from them.
a difficult ground like St. Mary's. You know, you can never be sure of getting a point there. So we should
And
rejoice.
by the way, we have won once there in our last 7 appearances at St. Mary's, or
Yeah,
6
I
appearances,
know.
something like that.
So we should actually kind of be happy about it. Not really, but yeah. No, I mean, I just was on Sean's show as well, having a massive debate about everything, you know. And to be honest, I think this is what I've been calling for a while, you know. And I think your regulars watching this channel kind of know my position on Conte in general and the board and stuff like that. So I want to actually start with maybe criticizing Conte a bit, you know, and what I want to criticize him for is, you know, even though it now came out from the Athletic that he had this financial, basically victim of a financial scam that cost him over 20 million, which he then got back or whatever. But at the time of signing, this was a recent event, you know, and I think it was the reason he came back to the negotiations, basically. And he did that probably knowing that this would be the final outcome. I think he was probably never too convinced of anything else. But since he's been here, we've seen good things last season, and we were absolutely in awe of what was happening with Dyer and Davis and so on, and that's Conte for you for sure. You know, we went from an absolute disaster season to ending up in top 4 beyond, you know, stealing it from rivals across the road. You know, but for me, this is what I have an issue with Conte, is that even though I can completely kind of sympathize with that specific situation that he must have been in, you still bent your principles, at the least bent. You might even say you broke some of your principles. And I do believe that why he's been not calling out the club and players sooner is basically in an attempt and in a hope of working with all of it, you know, making it work in some sense, you know. He's actually been more reasonable and tolerant than we usually know Conte to be, you know. So now I'm at least happy that we're getting the real deal, you know, because the way I saw it, we're either winning or we're going to get the full lowdown on the club, you know. And not that I particularly needed it, but I'm at least, I think the ENIC is doing a good job. The manager's crap and the players are amazing. All of those talking points are quite difficult today, even though there's plenty of fans still, you know, having those talking points. I do think a lot of people is waking up, and I I mean, I take you guys, for example. Like, I think, you know, there are many channels out there, there are many voices out there, and you have definitely been very critical of ENIC. But I like you, and this is just your personalities, and you really put an effort into being balanced and weighing it up. And you know, I definitely think that seeing, for example, like if I can use an example like you, Ben, for example, I've like lately, I've heard you say, for example, that you want Conte to stay, and both of you are saying you want Conte to stay for a committed period, you know, 3 years or something like that, and build around that. And like, I'm happy. I completely agree. That's what I hope to do as well. Not necessarily because it's Conte, but because Conte is elite in my mind. He is what this club needs. But first of all, just because we're down the road now, let's finish. Let's follow through with this guy. You know, let's not just cut it when we're just getting started. You know, but saying that, you also said that you would very much like to see Potts in and stuff like that. You know, and I agree, but the only problem is that, and I can imagine being like, for you, Ben and Sim, you were both there in person, you know, experiencing all of that, and this is the only time in our modern history where we've had, ascendant period, season after season, so it didn't end up with silverware, but at least we were on ascension the whole time, whereas since then it's been up and down and up and down, and the general trend has been down, peaks and valleys, but general trend has been downwards. And I would say, like, going to that, I think, like, I'm going to put this to you, Ben. I think even when you were saying that, even before this press conference, I think deep down you knew that you were kind of wrong about it. You knew that it would probably almost not anyway be successful in the way that we kind of have to become successful now, getting Potts back. Am I right or am I wrong?
As in, you're asking me the question: do I think I'm wrong that Poch will be a success if he comes back, or when Conte signed?
I think it's more a hope and a prayer with you than an actual assessment that it could for real work out.
You talking about with any manager or Poch or
Oh,
Conte?
with Potts in particular. I'm talking about with Potts in particular, but it could, it could for other people work with, if they're saying Enrique or whoever their manager might be. But I'm asking you as a local, as a hardcore Tottenham fan, who understands the problem with the board, who understands the situation, or who wants to back the situation with Conte, but still finds that, that heartstring that says, because if I have to psychoanalyze you now, Ben, I kind of take it as your way of finding the shortest route into some good times again, basically.
Look, I think that definitely does play a factor into it. But I think the way I look at it is that when Poch first came here, he had a lot of shit to contend with. He had to get the Kabuls out, the Adebayors out, the Lennons out. He had to get the poisons out of this club. Right now, since Pochettino has left, we've let poisons fester in this club once again. And I feel like if Poch was to come back, it might be more of a hope than maybe I think, like, factually, like, he's actually going to get this done. But I think he has previous of doing it, so I think he can do it again. And I think he's a man who loves the club. I think the fans, for the most part, love him. I think it's a marriage that can work. I can't say hand on heart that it's 100% going to work, but I think it can work.
But I don't
think it can work.
Yeah, but to be honest, and I was having a debate on the other channel about this on Sean's channel, Spurs Talk Show, and I think, like, for me, and I'm pretty sure Danny and these, like us that are quite vocal in regards to ENIC and the players as well, I think that I don't even want us, like, of course I want us to win, but it's not about that. I'm not gonna lose it if we don't win. I want us to put it all out there. I want us to do everything in our ability within the reality that we find us, within the means that we find us, simply to risk it and put it all out there, and then we'll see what comes of it, And if that's not enough, then I'm still proud and happy with my club, Now I'm constantly ashamed of my club because the board it's making an amusement park before it's building a squad. The squad is full of political players that are nowhere near good enough, but they do leave his bidding, and they do they rein in the managers and are control mechanism for the board, in my view, and so on. I can be, this is speculation, of course, but I've seen enough evidence to not be able to see it any other way, And this is so like, I don't think any real club or fan is ashamed of losing. It's what you do. It's the performance. It's what you put into it. It's the heart, and this is what was so beautiful about yesterday's conference is I haven't since Pochettino, probably. Yeah, I would say since Pochettino crying on the pitch, I haven't seen this much passion in Tottenham Hotspur. That's the truth. And that's the sad truth.
But Jory,
You know?
Jory, what do you say to people who say Conte's press conference? There's kind of two ways of looking at it. Is either him like exacerbated by the lack of ambition around him and demanding higher standards, or is it him kind of going down swinging when he knows he's going to be out, when he knows he's kind of nearly out of a job? How do you kind of read it?
I think there's three factors going there. There's brand protection for sure going on. I mean, Conte is not. I'm not pretending that Conte is a saint or anything. He is an honest, hardworking, passionate man, and he gives his all. That's what I think. But I also think he can definitely be egotistical when it comes to this kind of a situation. That is to say that if you don't want to, I can't drag you to winning, but I can show you how to win. And if you don't want to take it, well, then I'll take care of myself then, and then take care of my brand. I think the main thing yesterday was simply just he exploded with pent up. He, like he said, he had been silent about this, and he just couldn't anymore. And I just think that, like, I'm a similar personality. I find it absolutely impossible to kind of sit on myself. And believe me, in my work, I have. This would not be unusual in my line of work. I mean, I see regularly much worse tantrums than that. So and I myself, I can easily blow up in that way as well. So I respect that.
Who have
But
you
I
got?
think
You got Eric Dyer on the set there, Jory.
well, that would. I do have quite a few Eric Dyer types around. I'll bring that back actually, because as I mentioned before, and actually on the other channel, just this there's also an element like, because people a big narrative, especially in the media, I've heard, is that he should not be public about it. He shouldn't come out with it. It's like putting the club down and so on, And this, I think, has quite a lot to do with. I mean, you see it other places, but I do think it's very sensitive in English culture actually. And what Conte understand, and there was a Danish fan actually on Spurs talk show as well. Completely agree. What a Danish fan would understand, and what people outside of England understand to a greater extent, is that these manners and talking points and stuff like that, we don't look at that. We look at what you're saying with your actions. That I think that's what a grown man does. He doesn't listen to the rhetoric. He just looks at the action. And what's embarrassing is the actions of the board. Is embarrassing is the actions of the player, and then going into a conference and saying something that's pretending that it's not that way. That's embarrassing. I've been embarrassed when Conte, for example, said that he didn't want to bet another centre back and so on. That's embarrassing to me. To basically say that we have made a losers culture is not embarrassing to me. It's a statement of fact, and saying it is the first step of actually being able to change that. So I think Conte, to be honest, was fighting for the bats and the fans in that press conference, and he attacked everybody that he sees as the enemies of the bats and the fan, and that's the board and too many of the players, I'm afraid.
But Jory, a lot of people coming out, a journalist, Paul O'Keefe, saying that he didn't attack the board yesterday in his post-match press conference.
I mean,
what did you think he attacked the board?
No, I kind of agree. I like he put responsibility on the board. He actually kind of defended the board, and to be honest, and it gave me a little bit hope around the Levy situation, because if Conte is saying that, I put a lot of trust in what Conte says in a moment like this, and if he's saying that, our problem with the board has maybe more to do with incompetence than maybe greed and corruption. I got a glimmer of hope, like, if a lot of it is to do with them just making the wrong decisions because they're not any better, then that's fixable. If it's not a will behind it, then exactly a guy like Conte can then guide them to better decisions and stuff like that. But I do think that he put full responsibility on the board, but he basically attacked the narrative that it's always the board, because there's two big narratives that go ahead. It's Levy out and it's manager out. That's the two main narratives that gets going. And the players are completely free of it, basically. And if they are not free of it, we like kind of parasitically go for one player, Emerson, or myself can't stand Dyer. I can go for Dyer. I went for the French Mafia at the time. I really didn't like those guys. And so on. And it's not great doing it that way. I totally own up to that myself. But also, there's also a valid point to putting names on it. And like for me, that was all that was missing from that Conte. I mean, I would even be happy if he had put names on it, But I don't think he. Yeah. Sorry.
Isn't it a backhanded way to criticize the board by criticizing the players, because they're the ones that are letting these players fester too long in this squad?
Well. Yeah, well, yes, but I didn't read it as he didn't say so much that they're not good enough, even though he did say that a little bit. But he mostly said, which was referring to last season, he mostly said that they are not committed, they are switching off, and they don't have to be so bad. We don't have to lose this game. We don't have to go out of the cups. They are basically choosing with their actions to do that, and so I don't think so. In that regard, he's and we all know this. Even as unhappy as we are with our squad, they're supposed to be winning those games, and let alone defending a lead for 10 minutes, Like you have no business being paid as a footballer if that's something that you consistently fail at doing, So, and it's not only the defense, even though that was awful. I think, I think the falling back has more to do with our senior leaders, to be honest. Kane, I don't know, but I definitely, Kane was terribly selfish yesterday. I definitely think he owns some of that, but I also think Sonny is probably. I think it's all disrupted now. It's all pretty much at its worst state ever. I think we have a cohesion in the player squad now is the politics, the political players. They are now colluding to get Conte out. Because why do they want them out? Why does this always happen? It happens when it's difficult. They don't want to go through the pain. That's it. Every time the season gets too congested with games, every time the training's too hard, every time the pressure of the games and the progression in the various tournaments is too much, they buckle. And Kane needs to take that. Sonny needs to take that. Lloris needs to take that. This is and then how come we have all of these players under that circumstances? That's the culture. And then you go back to Enoch. And I'm not saying even, damn you, Levy, just look at that culture. I'm saying the only ones that can build a different culture is the board. They need to decide what the culture should be. And that's what Conte said exactly. It's you need to decide what you want to be. I personally would be happy. I would be fine with us being like Brentford and going Moneyball and having a much lower balance sheet in terms of the footballing side of things. If we just go all in that and do it to the max of our ability, I would be proud. We cannot be guaranteed any trophies or anything, but we cannot go around with our badges and holding our head high and bantering with Arsenal and stuff like that. when we know in our heart of heart that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing in any sense of competing. So
And
yeah,
that's the difference, isn't it, Jory? When you're looking at teams like Newcastle, Brighton,
Yeah,
Brentford,
exactly.
all these
Yeah,
teams that, we've got a better squad than them, man for man. We've got better quality in the squad, but they've got a squad of 20 players, however many it may be, that are willing to fight for the badge, that are willing to sing from the same hymn sheet, and that are all together as a cohesive unit. We've got a few stars dotted along the place, but we've got a fractured squad and a squad that are not willing to fight for the badge when things get tough. And that's the difference, isn't it?
exactly. When it gets tough, everybody's just looking out for themselves, and this, I mean, the very cynical take, which I am a part of around Levy, which is Tottenham is Levy's way of getting the building permissions in Tottenham and so on. I don't think I'm pretty sure that Levy would be happy to take in footballing success, if it meant he could still keep his own financial risk at the same level. But that's not reality. So I'm not implying even malice or anything. I'm just saying that, like, if we don't get this from the board, whatever their motives might be, we're never gonna do anything, guys. And then what? It's great that you bring up Newcastle. The only way out of a situation like that is how Newcastle came out of it. It's basically for the whole thing to become a run-down ghetto, to a point where the financial greed is not being served anymore, or whatever motives might for those motives of the board to not be served anymore, then they'll relent and let go of the club. And that's not something we want. So and then, like, for me, that's what I'm fearing, like, beyond the insanity, I think, of people thinking, for example, that we're going to use these players to play tiki-taka with Enrique or whatever, or just seeing any project work, since we haven't backed Mourinho and Conte, two of the all-time greats in this sport. Wasn't enough motivation for our board to go all the way and back them.
But that's what it was. Those two managers came in as a quick fix just to get us top four, because we know that the board know that they're good enough managers to go and do that. But once we've burnt these two managers, what other manager is going to come in and literally just scrape us into the top four every year? Like, we're running out of managers to do that.
No. I think now, unless by some miracle we keep Conte and he signs a new contract and we start doing what he wants us to do. I think once Conte goes, if he goes now, we are in so much trouble. We will be branded the ultimate career killer. No rising star will want to come to us. No rising manager will want to come to us. Like Potter snubbing us double last year is going to be nothing compared to what we're looking at. We will maybe get the has-beens, yeah, for sure. The ones that have had some accolades and are completely on a downward. Like we will end up with Rafa or something at some point, I'm sure.
I think Poch will always be an option just because of his emotional connection to the club and what he's said in the past.
I think Potts will always want to come. Like, I think Potts is like, that's what I said. It's like the most passion I've seen since Potts from anyone was Antonio yesterday. And that's so sad. That this should be our players. This should be key personnel. We should have a sporting direct. Like, for me, also a really wake up moment for me was when Paratici got told off by the players for sitting close to the players and being animated about the game. It's like, what kind of fucking players do we have here? They don't. It's too much pressure for them to have a sporting director that gets into the game. Come on, what's going on here? And this is. Why we're entertaining the thought of having of giving a Dyer a new contract and Davis and so on. It's because these are the political tools of Levy and the squad. So Yeah.
How do you see it playing out, Jory, though? Because do you think the players are going to rally after that, or do you think that they're just going to get even worse now?
Like in my little TV delusion when I'm watching the games and stuff like that, I think I see a bit of a split from some of the top players and Kane, like Son, and like I kind of feel like I see Kane a little bit more isolated than I've ever seen him before. And I took that as Kane is the one still fighting with Conte, and the others want him out, basically. I think if the right persons step up into this and really take it to heart and be honest with themselves and the players around them, I think we could go on to have a great run now, to be honest, because we have the ability. Whatever I want to say about the back line and stuff like that, we can defend higher. We can defend as a team. We can alleviate that. We can attack much stronger than we've been doing for a long time, and so on. We have the tools if we decide to go and get them. There needs to be some really, really big commitment and consolidation between the senior players. I think they need to take it on them and say, okay, now we go and fix this, and we now we fight with Conte. Then we can have success still. But if that doesn't happen, it's gonna be like the start of a multi-year shit show like we haven't seen before, I think.
If the former does happen, do you think there's a chance Conte can stay beyond this season?
Yes, I think actually that could be something that would bury every hatchet, that would cheat these key players what they've been missing the whole time, like a Harry Kane. Like, I think if Harry Kane can go in there and call everybody out that he feels he needs to call out, be a different, nasty, aggressive, confrontational Harry Kane. I think he's not. I think he's as close to it as he has been ever. What I really liked that I saw yesterday was I saw a lot of pissed off. They were frustrated and aggravated, many players, and I was happy to see that. I saw Romero, I saw Kane, so because this, like, hopefully they can then go the full way and just confront each other and get it out there. I think, to be honest, I've been thinking about it in regards to Delhi. I think maybe this is part of what broke Delhi, was simply, apart from all his own bad, playboy stuff, I think also maybe Delhi was a person that either needed to be absolutely 100% crazy committed, like he was on the pods at first, and or simply he can't be, like, he tunes completely out. And I think the only one that's ever gotten that commitment out of this squad was Potts, but it wasn't even enough with him, so yeah.
Jory, great chat, great call.
Nice one, Jory.
And thanks for coming on. We shall speak to you next time.
Great show as always, guys. And you have a big job and responsibility now to kind of guide the community these upcoming weeks. It's not going to be easy, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have to let that result fester for the next 2 weeks because there's no game after the international break. But look, we've got a long 2 weeks ahead of us, that's for sure. But we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Jory.
Time to reflect, guys.
Exactly. Speak to you soon, my friend.
Take care. Come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs. All right. I think that is it for today. Player ratings and five takeaways coming up next. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.